Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wicked Racing League for Season 2, race number 2. We're under the lights and we're in Music City. It is time for the drivers to attack that Nashville Super Speedway as we are here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. I decided to step away from the driver's seat. I'm up in the booth. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me, the guy who's been here for most of the Wicked Racing League's journey, Zach Hall. And Zach, last week, Talladega, it was a lot of mayhem, but it came down to fuel. Tonight, drivers are a little concerned that that could be the case as well.
That it could be, Sam. I tell you, the interesting thing that plays out here at Wicked Racing League is they got an 80% fuel load here, and that changes up the whole aspect of things when it comes down to stages and mostly the finish of these races. So I'm interested to see how these drivers play out this, the game plan for this race, because looking at a little bit of data coming in, it looks like around 57 laps, and that's with a fast lap again. So those fuel numbers should drop as the run goes. So I'm expecting these guys to be able to do around 60 laps. That final stage is going to be 75, then you got to account for the couple caution laps, so it's going to be around 70. So they're going to be just a little bit short for that. I think they'll be completely fine for these first two stages of the race, but it should add in a good aspect here of this race of where they're going to have to make a pit stop in that last run unless they are just able to save a ton of fuel.
And another thing to watch out for is going to be tires. Drivers, you see it on this racing surface, on the concrete. So drivers expecting to see how will that affect their tires as we're underway with qualifying. And on screen is going to be that of the 18 of Blaine Wilson, trying to get their first laps in to see who can get the fastest time for themselves. And drivers have been testing out where they feel like the max speed is. We're seeing the 18, that first lap, riding the high line. And that's an interesting place to be seen, Zach, because seems like it's been the inside lane where you'd prefer to be for speed.
Yeah, that is very interesting to see that. Maybe trying to build up the momentum as he's immediately gone to the bottom down here. So maybe found a little bit of something in practice. When you take that higher line around the racetrack, it is the farther distance, gives that engine a little bit more time to get wound up. And not only that, but usually the top side usually tends to give you that better run off the corner. So I think that's what we saw from the 18. We'll see what he can produce on this lap right here as he's going to be coming fly to the start-finish line as the times continue to click through. It looks like TJ Roberts at the top of the board as now Alex Coffey as a wave of drivers come through, and it looks like Blaine Wilson actually ends up third with that lap.
And Alex Coffey with an absolute blister, and that 7 has been the fastest for most of the week practicing. I'm not surprised to see him on top of the board as that of Alexander Light going to be starting their first time coming across the line. Looks to be not too quick, one of the slower of their first timed laps. So that of Alexander Light trying to find something a little bit extra here as he's going to be gunning up the exit of turn 2.
That he is. We'll see if he can find a little bit more pace here. Was that 6 machine Alexander Light, like you said, be looking for a good starting position. Track position is a critical thing when it comes to this track, because you talked about it, Sam, the tire wear. This concrete surface can really take a toll on the tires, and being able to start up front, it kind of gives you that leeway to save that little bit more extra tire. But unfortunately for Alexander Light, looks like he ends up 25th right now, and now going to be slided back to 26th, now 27th as a few more times continue to click through.
And it looked to be an invalidated lap, and I believe it was on the exit of turn 2, brushing up against the wall just slightly, and that is where you could lose time, and that's exactly what happened to the 6. That second lap not going to count for themselves as other drivers in a little bit of cruise control. Some of the drivers out here recognizing there is a rule. You must put in a qualifying time before you are done, but newcomers are coming in waves and groves, and here's one of them. It's going to be the 14 machine who we've covered here if you've been watching on Freaky Fast Broadcasting before. It's Brad Delph coming in. He just signed up today, and the 14 is 7th on the board.
Yeah, Brad Delph new to the Wicked Racing League, but like you said, Sam, not new to Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and that's a great time for him on his first qualifying, round here in the Wicked Racing League to end up in the 7th position now. So with only, it looks like Tyler Dingler and Nicholas Renner left to go out here on the racetrack, we could see that 14 start in a very strong position to start this race off, because that lap 50 stage will come very quickly, and if you're in that position already to start this race, you'll be in a much better position to get those valuable bonus points that are created by those stage races.
And those bonus points so great because based off the points, that who won the stage 1 and stage 2 at Talladega, Cedric Hunter, he is actually on top of the board points wise, even more than the driver that won last week of Stephen Barbell. And so just seeing points can be a massive thing. if you get good enough stage points, it could salvage a bad night here if you finish low on the board, as only driver out there on track is going to be Tyler Dangler, as we are in our final 20 seconds of qualifying. And as the drivers are pacing around, going to give it, again, a huge thank you to everyone joining us here this evening on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's Wednesday night coverage of the Wicked Racing League, race number 2, and we're ready to give you the coverage here tonight. As for tonight's race, it is that of the Addison's birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235, as the drivers will run for 175 laps in total. We're going to have 3 stages. 2 are going to be our stage breaks, and then we race to the end on that last stage to see who gets to victory lane. Well, that's how the stage is going to be set, but let's find out where the drivers are going to start off with ourselves here. Big thanks to Game to Give from that of the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, as we are seeing our drivers top of the board. It's going to be that of Alex Coffey taking that pole award with the 77 to Gavin Rogers to his outside. Blaine Wilson going to be starting in 3rd with Christopher Norris in 4th. TJ Rogers going to be in 5th with that is our winner from last week. Stephen DePorbell going to be in 6th. That of Brad Delp going to be in 7th with Steven Stimpian in 8th. 9th goes to Adam Buzzio, and that of Mason Hosman is going to be taking that 10th place spot.
In the 11th position, a new rookie here is Cody Reed. 12th is going to be the 43 Dakota Camper. 13th position is going to go to the 69, the Tyler Dingler. Jamie Plour going to start back in the 14th position. 15th is going to be the 31 is Cedric Hunter. Dallas Mann is going to bring it home in the 16th position here. 17th is going to go to Jimmy Kubanek. Also going to have the 18th position here is Richard Wolsiper, as we got the 19 of Michael G. Amati there in 19th. And 20th, rounding out that top 20, is Chad B.
Then in 21st spot, it's going to be from Limitless Gregory Shaw with that Ryan Thomas in 22nd. Carl Pooler is going to be in 23rd with Stephen Cole. Going to be in 24th with that of Christian DeRoche. Going to be in 25th, as well as that of Johnny Shade in 26th position. 27th is going to be that of Ryan Harrison, as well as Nigel Christensen taking that of 28th. 29th goes to that Michael Thomas, and Alexander Light going to be that 30th and final spot. 2 drivers that are in ours in 31st and 32nd going to be our 2 race controls of Nicholas Renner and also that of Rev. Thank you so much to Race Control. They're going to be trying to help to make sure this racing coverage for the drivers is as clean as it can be and giving out penalties whenever it's necessary. But Zach, Nashville Super Speedway, a track that's just came back to NASCAR just recently in the last couple of years. But for drivers in the sim world, what are you expecting for us here tonight?
Oh, man, this is a tough racetrack. This is a track I think a lot of drivers come to and don't have a lot of experience. Like you said, it's new. It's kind of come back newly to the NASCAR world, and very cool to have it here on iRacing and be able to, put on these races here. And it's really comes down to the surface. I mean, we know we have Dover and Bristol that are both concrete surfaces that, I think a lot of drivers go to and they kind of say, it's going to be a mix-up in that race because of how different that surface really races compared to an asphalt surface, the way it takes rubber, the way the grip works, and the way even temperature affects it. So these drivers are going to have to figure it out quickly here that this track is not very easy, and they're going to have to learn how to keep those tires underneath them, because I think that's going to be the most critical thing. It's just so tough on these concrete surfaces to keep the tires in such good condition because it's so abrasive.
Another thing drivers are going to have to watch out for, they were notified this morning on the fact that there has been a pit road change. Drivers must, on entry and exit, take the off-axis roads. That could be a big game changer once if we get into green flag pit stops later on in this race. As the base car pulls up, it's time for us to get to Wicked Racing League race in action. It's race number 2 for that of the Addison's birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235, and it's Alex Coffey, that of Gavin Rogers, rocketing down into turn number 1.
Oh, and they're wrecking in the back here at the back of the start-finish line. It's already a caution out in the racing surface.
And it's going to be Ryan Thomas, Alexander Light, as well as others slowing down, and immediately that caution is going to shake things up. But Zach, a little bit drivers struggling on the start, it looked like. Some wheel spin in the deeper half of the field, and I don't know if you've got the exact position of where it happened.
Yeah, it has started all around that 22nd position of Ryan Thomas. He was behind it, so it started a little bit ahead of him. You can see the blue car there. That's the 41 machine there of Jamie Plord, I believe. Actually, no, sorry, it's not Jamie Plord, I don't think. But
That's
it's
Chad Bean, actually, I think there.
yes, yeah, Chad being there is similar paint scheme, but definitely a little bit of a checkup. I even believe. I don't know if it was wheel spin. I think it necessarily was a little bit of a checkup on that inside line, and from there, I mean, it just got so many drivers dodging left and right, and I think the checkup there happened, maybe even a missed shift where Ryan Thomas ran in the back of the car ahead.
Ryan Thomas tried to go through the middle, wasn't the best place to go. And you got to say, for the rest of the field, they did an amazing job trying to avoid the best that they could, giving each other as much space as possible. See Alexander Light, he was starting all the way back in the practically last place, so he was able to just stomp on the brake and let all the spins get out of there as drivers get to settle in and try another restart. I mean, certainly not the way we expect this race to go, but the concrete, also drivers, got to make sure you're in the right gear as well. Make sure that you're revving up at the right time.
That they are, man, and you got to give Alexander Light credit there because, like you said, he started in the very back and he saw it immediately. He stomped on the brake and he knew there was nobody behind him, so he was able to do that. And that's probably sometimes the best feeling is just knowing you can slow down very quickly without someone running in the back of you. And luckily, he stayed out of all that mess. But no required damage flags. I think that's going to be the biggest thing all around. They do have one fast repair here at the Wicked Racing League, so that means they will, at some point tonight, if they do get a good, decent bit of damage, they'll be able to use that fast repair to completely bring that car back to 100%.
Yeah, that one fast repair going to be so useful. I know a lot of drivers, they try not to use it immediately. It's always the goal to save it until the very end of the race. So drivers, for that, like Ryan Thomas, he's hoping that he doesn't have to use that damage repair that fast repair just yet. It doesn't look like he'll be aiming for that. Interesting call, though, is going to be that of Mike Thomas. Thomas in the one machine taking tires, it looks like, for the one. He was in pit road. Interesting call by the one. You're only given 4 extra sets in pit road. This seems a little bit early, especially on the fact that we didn't even put one full lap in of putting in rubber into these tires that the drivers are running on.
Yeah, and it was very interesting too that, when I look at his stop, he took 2 tires also, so only right side tires. So, that call I think might have been a mistake more than anything. I don't know if that was a planned call, because if it was planned, that's a tough decision to make this early. I mean, maybe he felt like he slid the tires a lot when that incident happened, having the checkup for it. But I think more than anything, that was probably a miscue, just trying to come to pit road. Probably just fuel that car up, maybe get any damage that repaired on that thing. But tough break there for Mike Thomas, as he's going to already have one set of right sides out of the pool of tires that he has left. So that takes away a huge advantage that a lot of these other drivers are going to have over top of him now. So it's going to be tough to come back from. But the other big thing I think that happened there with the timing of that caution, Gavin Rogers was able to collect the lead, and he'll be able to go when he desires there in that restart zone. So it's going to give him a little bit more advantage rather than that first start on green.
Yeah, last season's champion of Gavin Rogers in the 77, hoping to find the same magic. I mean, last season, what a dominating run that we got to see Gavin run with. Found himself getting a total of 8 wins, 9 poles in total, and he was just on fire from the start to finish for most of that season. He's hoping for the same magic, but I gotta say, Zach, this rookie class that comes in saw what Wicked was building after season 1. This rookie class looks very strong, as we're already seeing a couple of them up in the top 10.
Yeah, that we are, man. This is going to be a fun season to watch, because I think that is going to be the telltale tape of everything going on in this racing, because we have the tried and true drivers that were from last season that were such strong top 10 contenders each and every week. But I think you add in a really good group of rookies. I mean, I think there's going to be some rookies out there that could go out there and get, possibly a win or even multiple. So I'm expecting a lot out of the rookie class, and I think tonight they're going to be able to try to go up there and challenge that 77 and that 7, because those two have definitely been the 2 benchmarkers, I would say, of this league so far through its creation. And this season 2 is just going to only, I think, get a lot more competitive.
We've already seen that Stephen Morbell get himself in victory lane last week with fuel strategy at Talladega. Well, tonight we didn't even get to turn 1 before the yellow flag came out. Let's see if we can just complete a lap this go around. It's going to be Gavin Rogers, Alex Coffey, as well as Christopher Norris, Blaine Wilson, and TJ Rogers going to be our front five, ready to get rolling here at Nashville Super Speedway. Race number 2. Well, let's try it again as we are getting our first restart of the night into the restart zone. The 77 and the 7 are ready to go.
Radar already launching. See, that's the ability to be able to launch in the restart zone for Gavin Rogers, and he's able to get a nice quick lead there. It's going to be Christopher Norris trying to take advantage of that qualified 4th, now up to the 2nd position due to these quick yellows. And right now, Christopher Norris doing a great job after a great rookie season last season here, trying to really, get his foot in the door.
Yeah, Norris came in about that halfway through season 1. Wasn't able to make the playoffs, but he was challenging with that Coffey, Rogers in almost contact for that 2nd place as they are battling around. And to give our first completed lap under green to Gavin Rogers in the 77, but Alex Coffey fighting right on back. Here comes also that of Roberts in the bottom lane. The 3 looking good as he makes the pass for 3rd.
Yeah, the 7 and the 3 teammates there from CNC Esports wasting no time on that 38 machine. They don't look to be looking to save any tires. They're looking to run quick laps right now as that 38 is definitely checking up that inside lane. Maybe Christopher Norris feeling like he needs to save a little tire, but it's starting to stack up behind him now. And he's going to have Blaine Wilson all over the back bumper. And I tell you what, down here into 1, it's starting to stack up with this whole group with Steven Stimpy and Brad Delph, Mason Hossman also right here with last week's winner, Steven Gordon.
And as we're right on the back bumper of Blaine Wilson, you got a great shot of the gemstones all over the 2 of that of Stephen Borbell. Borbell coming into this season, special schemes. Each and every race, a different family member or friend asks for a different scheme. So he's having some fun with some Elvis showing respect here tonight in that 2. As the rest of the field trying to scatter forward. And some of the biggest movers so far, it's Mason Hossman, who's going to be the driver in 6th place, who is on the outside trying to make the pass on that of Steven Stimpian, up 4 positions already.
Yeah, definitely being a little aggressive there on the tires, possibly going around the outside. That's going to be the move that you got to watch tonight. The driver that is willing to risk the tire life will go around that outside of the driver on the bottom who's really trying to roll that center. And right now, you're already seeing Hossman. He's going to try to go around the outside of Borbell now, right ahead of him. So already Mason Hossman showing that he wants to get to the track position. Just look at this gaggle.
Norris continues to go backwards, and they're 3 wide, squeezing it in, bumping it, squeezing it, somehow hold on. That should have been a wreck. Jimmy Kumanek, great save for the 8th machine, as well as seeing that of the 51 of Gregory Shaw. Aggressive driving, but stuck in the middle are still a lot of drivers struggling to find themselves in a comfortable position, and it's all stemming from the 38. Zach, I think there might be an issue with that of the Christopher Norris machine.
There might actually be. I mean, I thought he was saving a little tire, but that's a little too aggressive of tire saving. You don't want to give up every bit of track position you have to save tire, and that's a tough break there as we're riding on board with the Hello Kitty machine and Cedric Connor here trying to figure his way forward as it's been that stack up happening right ahead of him. And kind of what happened there was looking at his Kubanek in the 8, he really came pretty far down low for being 3 wide there. And also Gregory Shaw, he entered very, very shallow, got into that apron. It washed him up the track into that 38. And that was kind of the Oreo cookie there, and Norris was the cream in the middle. So it was not the greatest position to be in, but luckily they saved that because that could have been a huge wreck.
Ryan is Vastus. Got that of the Get Wet Sports Machine 51 of Gregory Shaw, and as well having his teammate of going to be Richard Wolsifer. Wolsifer missed out on last week at Talladega. He was kind of disappointed, was saying he was so excited to see how this season was going to roll for the 56. Felt like he was really learning a lot throughout season 1. That was the goal, but this season it's to make the playoffs and maybe get a little bit more, maybe go for that championship if he can find some consistency as these drivers running back in 7th and 8th place.
Yeah, I tell you, this is going to be interesting to see how drivers can make up that difference from last season. Can they figure out something? This isn't a season to grow. I mean, last season, a lot of these guys came in later, and they really showed out. And this is their time now to start off the season fresh and be able to grow a little bit. So you're seeing here now Jamie Plord. He's trying to go forward. He is the 33 on the scoreboard, but he's the 41 on car. I believe will most likely get that fixed here within the next few weeks. But it looks like he's battling with that 69 Tyler Dingler there as he's going to try to take that 12th position from him as Dakota Camper right behind him, maybe trying to follow through. As the outside line, drivers definitely electing to make passes around there. I'm wondering how it's going to make the tires last though here, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, the outside lane certainly can make some bold moves. Speaking of bold, there is going to be Christensen trying to throw it down to the inside lane for the 20 machine. And oh no, Nigel Christensen gets down the apron, clips the 8, and once again, Kubinek with an incredible save.
That was amazing. That's the second one of the night, like you said, and whew, that one was better than the first. I mean, that was to the left rear quarter panel of that car, and that upset it so much. And you saw Christensen, he was on the apron there, and that was not the place to be for sure on entry of the corner, because that is that's exactly what's going to happen if you enter right there. You're going to be up out of the groove, and Kubinek luckily saves it and holds on to it, and really didn't lose too much time from it compared to the drivers around him.
Yeah, a lot more time. The driver that actually lost the most. Give that to the 51 of that of Gregory Shaw, who falls all the way down to now that of 23rd. He had to get heavy on the brakes, but right now seeing some pressure for drivers deeper in the field. To see that of Carl Pooler as well as that of Christian DeRoches. DeRoches is going to be trying to make this pass on the outside, but Carl Pooler, as we're running on board 71, holding strong where he's at. But again, with that incident we saw from Nigel Christensen, really got aggressive on the entry of the corner. Looked like he might have locked up his brakes, didn't slow down as much as he wanted. And that's going to be something these drivers work on throughout tonight. The brakes. You got to find the right braking ratio on how you want to roll, as Carl Pooler makes, I believe, a little bit of contact with 57.
Yeah, that was very close. If it wasn't contact, it was as close as you possibly can get there between him and DeRoches there through their center 3 and 4. Now DeRoche is going to cross him back over. This racing's getting wild back here for 24th. You're already early into the first stage, and drivers trying to find that pace and find that grip, but looks like Carl Pooler's going to hang on for now. And now Chad Bean's going to try to take advantage of that 57's momentum loss here down into 3.
Down into the bottom, he'll throw it in aggressively, and the 9's going to stick. Has to slow down in the center, but here comes that exit speed, slamming down on the throttle. And Chad Bean will take 25th position as we're on lap 19 of 175 here tonight, but we do have stage breaks. Stage 1 ends at lap 50. Stage 2 ends at lap 100, where caution flags will be thrown. As we look at the battling for 9th place, it's Dallas Manis as well as Brad Delph right on top of one another.
Yeah, it looks like Brad Delph here trying to find the grip on the bottom. Dallas up close to the wall on exit. That's where you got to watch out. Turn number 4 will be the corner. I think that most drivers are concerned tonight when it comes to the exit of it, because either your car's going to push tight towards that wall, or the rear end's going to step out and you're going to be catching it all the way out towards that wall. So it's kind of do or don't. It just doesn't really matter. That corner is going to be the one that's going to be the toughest one for him all night long. So great job staying out of the wall. But I think Brad Delph here trying to find a little bit of track position as there's some battling going right behind him with Plord in that background with Buzzy.
Yeah, and those drivers are trying their best as they're trying to scatter and figure out where they want to be fully for themselves, as that of seeing the 33 Plord trying his best in 12th. But I want to talk about some of the newcomers. We talked about rookies coming into this season, and we got a few of them already up here battling in the top 10. That's Steven Stympian and this 25 of Cody Reed. For Steven Stympian, we've seen here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting how well the 81 could be in these next-gen cars. But for Cody Reed, this is really a new growing point for the 25. We see him on Monday nights for the ISRC Truck Series, where that is a major strength for Cody Reed. But being in the next-gen Cup cars, this is a completely new beast that this 25 is trying to conquer and find some success in.
And I tell you what, I got to give him a round of applause here already for this start of this race, being running in 8th. I mean, talked to him a little bit before the race, even gave him a little bit of advice of how to drive this track, because like you said, Sam, he's much more comfortable in that truck. This is kind of a new territory for him that he's trying to learn, and he's done a great job so far of learning it, and we'll see if he can keep conquering it as the way he's done so far, and hopefully none of them simple mistakes pop up. As look at this battle, 3 wide off of the turn number 2 there, as it looks like Buzzio on the bottom, the Camper in the 43 in the middle, and up top Plord is going to drop back 2 positions.
And it's been the side-by-side of Buzzio and Camper. They just cannot get away from one another. And what's crazy is they're running even side-by-side. That should be slowing you down. But they were faster than Plord right there as Plord continues to fall back. It seems like the tire wear is falling off for that 33 machine on our ticker. 41 on our screen as Buzzio really started to tighten up in the center of the corner.
That he is. That was so close between the action. That's what you kind of deal with mostly here at the Nashville Super Speedway, is you just deal with that car not wanting to turn a lot of times. And then that's where the snap oversteer happens. And what that means by that, folks, is that car will go into the corner. It just doesn't want to turn left. It doesn't want to stick to the bottom of the racetrack like you like it would. It pushes up the racetrack. You turn that wheel a little bit more to the left, and as soon as you do that, the rear end kicks out, and then you're just it's one of the scariest feelings as a driver when you get that snap oversteer moment. Look at that Buzzio trying to hold on to it there and keep that machine straight. Luckily he does as they head down the back straightaway.
Adam Buzzio, those tires are getting toasty as we are now halfway through our stage 1. Again, stage break at the end of lap 50. Top 10 drivers get bonus points for themselves as some gray racing up front is also going on, as well as the middle. And this is the battle for second place. Alex Coffey, he's got that of Mason Hosman, who's on the charge for the 78. And as well, Blaine Wilson and that of Barbell. They're starting to close in as they get by that of TJ Roberts.
Yeah, they're all closing in right here. Also, you got Steven Stippian trying to battle TJ Roberts in the background also right there. So he goes to the inside off of 4 and looks to make that pass for the 7th or 6th position, sorry. And I tell you, this group is stacked up here. I got to give Halston credit.
Issues, front stretch. Tyler Dangler. Try that of Richard Wolsifer making contact in the exit of turn 4. And it's the 69 pushed up into the outside wall.
Oh, and they're going to be almost 4 wide entering turn 1 here. Luckily, it stays straight for him. A little bit of connection issues for Tyler, but doesn't look like, it actually does have a meatball flag. So I think that car has some type of wheel damage or suspension damage that has required him to enter pit road, and he's going to be entering here, I believe, on the back straightaway because, like you said,
you can't turn. He's struggling. He's going to spin out on the off-axis road, and there's going to be Richard Wolsifer, who is just going to be cruising on, and that was actually an issue that Wolsifer had last season, where he would just come up on the exit of corners late in runs and run into drivers on the exit, and it's going to be that of the only top 15's machine finding himself having to head into pit road, wasting even more time, going to be going multiple laps down. Luckily, there's a fast repair, but Zach, when you're going into pit road with on-axis and off-axis roads, you are going to be going at least 2. Now for Tyler Dangler, maybe even 3 to 4 laps down.
Yeah, with that mistake of getting on the pit road, and you really can't call it even a mistake because of just the damage on the car. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's wheel damage, and when you get wheel damage, you don't get stopping power in that wheel, and it also just doesn't turn. So it makes everything that much harder. I mean, he even slid through his box because he didn't have the stopping power that you normally would have with, all 4 wheels. It's technically only probably 3 wheels were working. And luckily, like I said, he does have that fast repair, but he's going to have to come back from a lot here because it's going to be 2 laps, but it's going to be close to 3 because he's going to be at the back of this field when he does come out.
And drivers that are on screen battling inside of the top 10, this is going to be that of 3 machine. TJ Roberts going to be trying his best to hold off that of Dallas Manis, but in front of them, battling for 6th and 5th, it's going to be Steven Stympian cracking into the top 5. As everyone from 2nd back to 6th place, they are all within a second to that of 3/4 of a second on top of one another.
Yeah, and I've been watching the lap times. This is getting into the longer portions of these runs. And from previous experience with Steven Stympian, with us calling races here at Freaking Fast with him, he's very, very strong when it comes to longer runs. And that is where the lap time is starting to show. He's, a couple hundreds faster than our leader in 2nd place, Alex Coffey. So he's starting to run these guys down. We'll see if he can make some quick work of Hausman and Wilson because he'll have to get around Coffey next. And then he's got a really far trek up to Gavin Rogers, who has about a 2-second lead back to this group.
I got confused. I was looking at the ticker. I thought maybe it was because of connection issues. It's not. The 3 of TJ Roberts is falling down quickly. He got loose at it too. And tire wear seems to be an issue that could carry on from here on out. A heavy looseness sensation starting to build up for the middle pack of the field. They've been overcooking those tires. We got to watch out for that stint because these drivers aren't running the default setup. These drivers are given a custom setup to run here tonight. And drivers, some put in the time and effort to really get used to this long run. Others didn't. We might be seeing some of those. Have to be careful. Some contact there from the 81 to the 78. And gonna be that of Steven Stympian holding on for 4th.
Oh, that was so close between those two. Hausman was losing that car on the exit of the corner. It was coming down the racetrack. Luckily, he saves it with a correction back to the right and actually was so close to making contact. Luckily, didn't. So Steven Stympian will be able to get away scot-free, but right now, up to 4th, he's going to be looking strong here, but everybody looking a little bit free here, like you said, Sam, so they're starting to kick in with that setup.
And as well, battling for that a second was starting to get a little bit frisky as Wilson saw that coffee have a little slip up, but the 18 caught him at the worst spot, had to duck it down low, losing time, but here comes the recovery. It just seems like Blaine Wilson's got the better exit instead of coffee.
Yeah, it does look like he's got that better exit in that 18 machine. Is the two there of Borbell, now last week's winner. He's trying to get the pass done on Halsman, and this is tough to do, especially with that car on the outside. You can see the work in the wheel as Borbell is loose off the corner, but Halsman loses the run on the exit, and I think Borbell will have a good shot here going down to 3 if he can just make sure to hook that bottom and not lose too much momentum. But side by side, very tough racing.
And over the radio, I mean, I think Osman might be playing a little bit of chicken with some of these guys. He's over the radio stating the fact that he is dealing with some tire wear issues. He's feeling the hurt, but still being so aggressive with these pinching maneuvers, trying to stay as close as possible to the driver to the inside. This 78, he might be loose, and there it goes. He tried to hold on, but not for long. There goes the 78, and he's got to be careful because he's also got Dallas behind him. That 45 doesn't look stable either.
No, there's a lot of people having handling issues right now at this point of the run, 36 laps in. Drivers are really having the manhandle of this thing. So this is interesting to see. So this is going to be something we got to watch for later in this race if this comes back to fruition where, you know, we're going to get a 50-lap run here, but we did have that caution also to kind of, you know, give these guys a few caution laps. So it's really not a true 37 laps at green. I'm interested to see if that transitions into, you know, a different portion here at stage 2.
We've also had multiple drivers now go a lap down, as we haven't seen since our last restart a yellow come out. But we did have an incident between that of Richard Wilsifer, Tyler Dangler. Dangler currently 2 laps down, but now there are 3 drivers ahead of him, just 1 lap down. That's Mike Thomas, Richard Wilsifer, and Ryan Thomas that have all gone a lap down. Looks to be only those 4 that will stay a lap down as this race continues to stay green. But Zach, I think that's just going to be the looming question. How long will this race stay green with the way that these tires are starting to fall off and drivers are just wheeling it? And for some, they feel comfortable in this zone. Others, this is their worst nightmare.
Yeah, I you know, it's impressive to see the fact that they are staying green this long. With how much these guys have been sliding. I've seen a few guys have some pretty big moments already, and it's definitely on the tougher side of things. You can see Cody Reed there in the 25. He's got passed by Cedric Hunter there to take the 11th position for that 31 machine. But yeah, the 25 was running in 8th, and I think that inexperience here in this Cup car has come back to haunt him here, as he must be feeling that same condition a lot of these drivers are feeling with that car stepping out sideways.
Yeah, and Cedric Hunter on the move for himself as he's up 4 positions. But some of our biggest movers are actually drivers in the middle of the field. That's Alexander Light, Nigel Christensen, both drivers up that of 13 or more positions. Now that of Christensen's up 13 spots. Light is up that of 16. To get a sense of what the drivers are feeling like as we're on board with the 20. And seeing him, we're going to watch these hands. How is Nigel Christensen working with these tires as he's coming out of turn 4?
Yeah, you can see it was even a little bit of snap oversteer there for him on the late exit of the corner. You're going to see that. There's going to be a lot of left turn. You still got to turn that wheel to the left. But you're going to see as he gets to some point in the corner, it's always going to start to go back to the right. They're almost center straight on as the exit comes, and that just shows you how much they're dealing with. It's up in front of him. He can see a madhouse right there as Alexander Light is going past the drivers up ahead of him who are definitely struggling at the moment.
That's Mike Thomas. That's the driver that's a lap down who got into the outside wall and really checked up everyone there. And he will now fall to being passed by more drivers. But this group of machines, they are trying their best, finding ways to move forward as we are less than 10 laps away. Again, lap 50, end of lap 50 is when our stage break is, and drivers are hoping we get to that point. But if a caution comes out on lap 45 to lap 50, that will count as our stage break, as drivers are all over, scattering on the exit of the corner, some all the way down to the apron because they are just getting that loose off the corner.
Yeah, and the good thing about loose racing, you know, it can be very nerve-wracking as a driver, but I love it from personally the broadcast standpoint because this sets up a lot of passing. You know, you have mistakes all over the place from drivers. You have one driver, you know, they feel confident for a few laps, and then it just steps out on, they lose tons of ground to their competition. And when that happens, that's when you have passing happen and really drivers making up time. So cool to see these guys having to work for it here tonight. But through this first stage, it's been a definite handful for majority of the field out there as they're trying to keep hold of these cars.
And two drivers, I'm actually surprised on how well they have been trying to carve their way forward. That's Johnny Shade and Christopher Norris. Norris is up to 17th, but you see that at a 47 gear. Johnny Shade, Christopher Norris, both drivers have decided to really back off, save their tires. They're running at about a few laps ago, just the same quickness as our leaders. They've been able to close in and make some passes, but Christopher Norris, got to remember, he qualified 4th, and he's still only back here in 17th. Zach, we touched on it. He just gave up way too much track position.
Yeah, he gave up way too much track position. Like right now, he's running the fast. At least last time by this last lap here wasn't the greatest, but the time before that, he was the fastest car on the racetrack. I mean, a 31.037 before this 31.209. So he's definitely shown that he saved the tires. But like you said, Sam, it's just too much saving. You know, you want to be quick, but you can't give up 13 seconds. Like, that's how far back he is from the leader of Gavin Rogers, where he was in second right off that, second restart after the caution. So you've seen how much he's given up to gain back here at the end. I think he's going to find out for later in this race. Luckily, he's got these stage breaks to learn this, that you can save, but you can't save too much.
We got ourselves that of 5, coming up to 4 laps to go in our stage. Oh boy, Mike Thomas is going to get the 57 out of shape into the outside wall. And what a save by that of Christian DeRoches. And DeRoches was terrified there by that of the number 1, who's just looking reckless out there on track.
Yeah, I think the one's having a hard time of holding it right now. It's definitely a handful out there. He took those right side tires too. That's one thing we got to account for. You throw 2 new right side tires on with a slight little bit of wear on those left sides, even though it was really only a restart, that can upset the balance of your race car even. So it's definitely not out of the order there for him trying to hold on to that machine. But DeRoches with a great save. But look at this group. This is right around the top 10 for the stage points. Adam Buzzio, you got Cedric Hunter, and you also got Brad Delph, Dakota Camper. I mean, it's a whole group of them right here.
And also in the thick of things there is the 56 of Richard Wolsifer, who's a lap down and trying to hold that outside lane. So drivers trying to get by the lap car as well as trying to put themselves in a position to get bonus points. And Adam Buzzio's got to be shaking his boots just slightly here because that Hello Kitty Machine 31 is on the charge as Brad Delph goes high. That's exactly what Buzzio wants to see.
Yeah, that's exactly what Buzzio, like you said, does want to see, because that really closes the door for this 31 to go forward. He is going to have a tough time. His Camper's pulled out now from this group here as they've gotten stacked up with Cedric Hunter all over the back bumper here of Adam Buzzio. They both clear Brad Delph now to put both of them back into the stage points. It's going to be Buzzio in 9th, Cedric Hunter in 10th, but I think this 31 might have a chance here before the end of the stage to get that 5. He's just going to have to try to set them up here as they're coming to that white.
They're trying so hard to make their way forward, and they are making this move work for themselves. But for Brad Delph, the tires just could not hold out. We are on the white flag of the stage. There's only been one person to talk about all night long on the winning side of things. That's Gavin Rogers. The 77 pulled out to a 2-second lead. It's fallen now to a 1.5 seconds. But it doesn't really matter that much when it comes across the line. This is our stage 1 winner. It's Gavin Rogers, last season's champ. He is right back to where he was last season.
Yeah, right back to it, man. Finished second last week at Talladega, too, to start the season off. Now gets a stage win here. I mean, what a better way to start his season is we're going to get a chat with him here after these pit stops, Sam. So I'm interested to hear his thoughts because he was getting run down. You know, it was happening. Blaine Wilson and Steven Stippian were running him down slightly. But, you know, this is going to be fun to watch, I think, because, you know, he's been so dominant so far to start off. But he's going to have some new contenders now up in the 2nd and 3rd spot once we get this race re-racked.
We're going to have a few new contenders to watch out for as a lot of changing's been going on as drivers in the top 10, going to be the 77 of Gavin Rogers, as well as in 2nd place, going to be Blaine Wilson. Steven Stimpian gets 3rd. Alex Coffey gets 4th. That is Stephen Borbell. 5th. 6th goes to Mason Hoseman, as well as 7th goes to Dallas Manis. 8th goes to Dakota Camper. 9th goes to Cedric Hunter. And 10th is Adam Buzzio. Those are the 10 drivers going to get bonus points. We will have one driver call it a night. And we saw that incident of the one machine of Mike Thomas coming down the track. Well, we didn't see the second contact that happened between Mike Thomas and Steve Cole, and Cole caught up in the wreck. The 96 has called it a night He had too much damage and did not click his fast repair, and that is a horrible feeling for himself. That's got to be a troublesome spot, Zach, knowing that situation that he's in. But a even weirder situation, Gavin Rogers doesn't come into pit road.
I'm telling you, I think he missed the pit entry. He did not remember the access road deal that was going on. But Blaine Wilson also missed the pit entry access road, but he still came down. I think he's going to get a penalty here and have to serve that. So this might cycle Steven Stimpian to the front here with the 4 tires. But whew, what a crazy moment here. And it just takes those simple mental lapses like that, because there's no way Gavin Rogers wants to stay out. He's going to have barely any fuel left when we start this run back up.
And also staying out is Gregory Shaw in the 51. He did not come into pit road. Bizarre moments for the 77 and 51. Few drivers trying to get their wave around if possible, which was going to be that of Tyler Dangler, as well as the 40 machine of Ryan Thomas, excuse me. Both drivers now are stuck behind that of Gavin, but there they go, off access road. They're just going to have to come in a lap later.
Yeah, I want to see, Gavin had to do this. I mean, he had barely any fuel left in this car for the rest of that run for stage 2. So smart decision by him. And we'll get I'm sure, a downbeat interview with him. And I think even Steven Stimpian might have sped on pit road in the 81 machine. So we're seeing major mistakes here. I'm interested to see what happens to Blaine Wilson, because in my eyes, that should be a penalty. So that's going to be deemable by race control. We'll see what they make the call on. But yeah, he did not use that access road, and he came down, after the access road. So it's kind of in the gray area there, because iRacing is not going to penalize you, because that's more of a league rule and not a iRacing rule there.
And just over the radio right now by admins, they will not be giving penalties out for that late pass because of the fact that iRacing does not give you the warning that pit road is open until you are almost to the entry. And that is why Blaine made the quick move, and that of Gavin Rogers didn't. But Zach, I mean, these are experienced drivers. We've watched them run. They should know at that point you should be having the pit road open, and you need to set up to come into pit road.
Yeah, it's a little head scratching for me, so we'll have to see. I mean, that's what they deem it, so that's what they're going to have to ride with. And I'm sure Gavin Rogers, he's probably not going to be the most excited about that, but he'll have to be starting well out in the back there after winning that stage.
And as drivers getting themselves situated, we're going to get ourselves situated, find where Gavin Rogers is to pull him up as we get ourselves with our stage winner. We got the 77 up in the booth. Gavin, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You won the stage, a little bit of weirdness coming into pit road, but man, how are you feeling at least getting the stage win for yourself?
Yeah, it's nice getting points. I forgot about that we had to use the access road, so I didn't come in because I didn't know what the penalties were for coming in without using the access road. So we'll have to recover from that mistake, see what we can do here, and try to gain all these spots back.
Well, Gavin, yeah, it's going to be tough to do, buddy, but I tell you what, you're a champion. You'll be able to have a lot to learn here, I'm sure, in the middle of this pack. What do you fear the most about this dirty air here?
I don't know. I think it's just getting pushed away from the front guys. There's going to be a lot of different strategies here on who's saving tires and who isn't, and it could cause a lot of mayhem. And just try to stay away from that and move my way up cleanly.
Well, Gavin, we're about to let you go, but good luck here on this restart, and hopefully we'll be talking to you later tonight.
Thank you.
As that was the 77 of Gavin Rogers, ready to get ourselves rolling. As up front, a little bit of a switch up, a little bit of a misunderstanding, Zach. It's going to be a questionable call that maybe we'll touch on later tonight, but Blaine Wilson, he will be on that outside lane, and Alex Coffey going to be leading the charge here on this restart. We race to now lap 100. That will be our stage 2. Bonus points still to be grabbed as we are ready to get ourselves back to green flag racing. It's the Addison's birthday burnt rubber bash 235, and we are green once again.
Yeah, this has changed the whole complex of the race now by that call. I mean, You know, Gavin Rogers waits the second time to go around. Now he's going to have to restart back in 23rd. You also had Steven Stipke, that third place finisher in the stage. He's going to get a penalty for speed through pit road. He's going to restart 25th. So now Alex Coffey, Mason Hossman with the top 2 spots. But Blaine Wilson there, he elected to take the pit stop anyways. Luckily for him, he got deemed where it was okay to come down for that. So he kind of won out in that situation for sure. But we'll see how it works out. As now, look at this wild racing back here with Dallas Manis there in the 45 trying to go forward.
Trying to go forward, and this is the middle pack, a gaggle of cars side by side, all trying to figure out where they're gonna be. And as well as this chaos is starting to build up, again, in the thick of things is Gavin Rogers, who's trying to find his way to get through this madness as drivers 2-3 wide, and making it 3 wide. It's gonna be that 77 to the inner groove. He's trying to make as many quick passes as possible, and following in tow is the 81 of that, gonna be that of Steven Stipien, as they are squeezing and contacting Stipien, and somehow no one makes a wreck out of 4.
Woo! That is as close as it's going to get there. You had the contact between the 8 and the 55 there on the exit of the corner, I believe. Or sorry, the 13 of Ryan Harris here on the exit of that corner. And it really made everything close there off of turn 4 for Steven Stipke, who came up into the racetrack there and got up into that 55. But luckily, no mistakes there from anybody. They hold on to it, and we keep it straight and green for the moment as everybody trying to find pace. Now, as Gregory Shaw, you know, he was going forward early in that first stage, but like we were talking about, Sam, he did the good job of slowing up for when Christensen had his major moment on the apron.
Yeah, and losing a lot of time in that checkup. But Gregory Shaw, we've seen in other leagues before, he is very good on the short run. It's the long run, making tires last, that has been kind of the crux of this 51 machine. He's got to be hoping that he learned enough information from that stage 1, carry it over to stage 2, and get him up front. He's going to need some great stage points here, especially on the fact that he didn't get the finish that he truly wanted last week at Talladega. He wants to get more points for himself.
Yeah, he definitely wants to come back from that race last week, but look at this again, that Hornet's Nest. Gavin Rogers in the 77. I mean, he's taking no prisoners right now. If this race stays green and it runs out the full 50 laps to lap 100 for stage 2, I'm very, very interested to see how this all works out for him, especially when it comes to tire wear. And even Steven Stipien, both of them, is now, look, Stipien's going to go to the inside of him as he gets to run off a 4. We're going to have Carl Pooler and also the 38 of Christopher Norris right directly ahead. This is starting to heat up even more because we have 2 of our top contenders stuck in the middle of the field.
They're stuck in the middle of the field, but also you have the 3 machine of TJ Rogers, who was actually really quick in the short run in those first 20 to 25 laps of our first stage. That 3 also is going to be quick, but at this moment, it seems to be a little bit of trust the driver in front of you. You might not run with these drivers all the time in the middle of the pack, but you got to trust and be like, I think this is one of the faster drivers. It's going to be going forward. Stipien chose correctly, and he's now past Carl Pooler as Gavin Rogers trapped still in 14th.
Yeah, still trapped in that 14th position, but already made a good climb so far. But you can't, do it too much with the tires. And you see Carl Pooler here in the 71. He's trying his best to hold him back. But we get to see the onboard view and driver cam here from Carl Pooler as he's trying to hold on to that machine as he's got that 77, our stage winner there. 2 is inside, and we'll see how he can fight him here down this front straightaway heading to 1.
And this is such an interesting thing to see. Carl Pooler really putting the pressure on Gavin Rogers, one of the biggest threats, one of the fastest drivers in this league. And the 71 is putting it to last season's champ. And Carl, last week at Talladega, made some very aggressive moves, trying to help out his team at Talladega with some hard blocks. He's willing to be aggressive if needed, and he is doing just that. Continues to hold off Rogers. And Zach, at this point, with how aggressive Gavin Rogers is having to be, I would imagine that's hurting both drivers' tires for the long run.
It really does, Sam. When you got to battle very hard, it usually uses those tires up. And talking about battling hard, the 7 and the 31 of Cedric Hunter here battling for the 4th and 5th positions. These guys have been side by side now for at least 2 laps. And that right there is also another thing that can have a huge effect on the tires. When you're side by side like that, it can really hurt your exits, where Cedric Hunter has to hold that car lower down the racetrack, and it can really heat the tires up and add to that tire wear, only accumulate more and more as he's got Cody Reed right behind him, who's done a good job to rebound with all these mistakes ahead of him. He's got a little bit more track position.
Right now, running up inside of the top 10 are all these drivers currently, as see that back trail of this pack. That is everyone from about 16th upwards, all sticking together. and drivers that are making some good progress. I mean, Steven Stempien, we saw that he was attached with behind Gregory, seeing that of Gavin Rogers. He's now going to be seeing the 81 up to that of 10th place already, but he's now hit kind of a wall as you've got that Dallas Manis as well as Dakota Camper just side by side and not really giving each other an inch as Manis makes that pass.
Yeah, what a pass there from Manis, but Steven Stempien is just finding open space everywhere he goes on the track. I mean, him and Gavin Rogers well back in the field here on this restart, and he's almost already back up into the top 7 here as he's going to be looking to the inside of Manis, just not going to be able to get there yet into 1, but got it, like you said, Sam, we got to question what this is going to do for the tires. Maybe he feels more confident as behind him. Dakota Camper almost loses the rear end. I think he didn't expect that 81 to enter that high. He was going to enter with a little extra speed, and it just didn't work out for him. He holds on to it, but Gavin Rogers using a lot of advantage here as he goes around the outside of that whole group almost.
Yeah, everyone checked up so much on the inside. Rogers said, well, if you're going that slow, I'll just rip the top. And almost just took 3 drivers in 1 corner. That's 77, a great move, but now is trying to clear this pass, and we'll get it done by Light. Rogers making some efficient passes now after he's gotten by the aggressive 71, but now he's dealing with another limitless driver. Alexander Light almost gave the bump to the 77.
That was super, super close between those two there, as it was very, very close action. But now look at this, Gavin Rogers again. He's just going to stick his nose in there, and he's going to try to make the pass to Dakota Camper as he's continuing his march back forward. This is fun to watch as the passing has been all over the racing surface here at the Nashville Super Speedway. Drivers going left, going right, trying to find any little bit of grip to get themselves back in the positions they were. And I got to say, what a recovery for both of them. I mean, Gavin Rogers up to 9th and Steven Stempien 7th. This is kind of amazing to see what they've done, but I'm fearing for their longer run here. I mean, we're going to be almost 20 laps in as now Light goes around. I think we'll do some contact behind and the caution flies.
Caution flag flies, and it was some contact between Adam Buzzio and Light. Both going for the same amount of real estate. Didn't fully go around, but enough sideways that the yellow flag is thrown. And for Alexander Light and Buzzio, it looked like more of a racing deal, but I could see it being an issue on the 6 coming down late.
Yeah, it's tough. It's always a tough thing and tough call to make there when you're that 6 up high. You got the 5 looking low. He wasn't there, so he wasn't, fully to the inside yet, but we'll see, exactly how it all works out. But it's just so tough.
I was watching replays of drivers pacing, and I believe Gavin Rogers and Carl Pooler and that of TJ Roberts making contact with one another. As we are getting the replay for what brought out our yellow currently right now. Big thanks to that of the Blitz Racing Network, giving us the instant replay that you get to see on screen, allowing us, before, SDK would not allow us to sometimes see some of the replays. This allows us to go back and try to find those that we've missed out on. But Zach, this race, certainly a lot of action all around these drivers, but with the 6 of Alex Light, certainly where they're under pit road getting some service done. Looks like manually repairing that 6. Not going to use that fast repair. I like that call for himself.
I definitely like that call too, Sam. I got to completely agree with you there, man. And with this caution, it's very, very unfortunate, that it came out. But the one thing it did do here is we get to see this replay of this incident here. As you see, the 5 does close in. He's closing in, and just a late dive. I mean, the 6 probably didn't expect it. I mean, it looked like the 5 was driving in pretty deep. So to me, that's more one of them racing deals where 2 drivers going for the same real estate. The 6 looking to open up the corner, the 5's looking to get to the inside, and it's just 2 drivers coming to blows. And luckily for those 2, it doesn't look like it was too much damage, especially on the 6 side of things. I'd be more worried if I was Adam Buzzio, especially on that nose. And personally looking at it, these next gen cars, they seem to always be much tougher than the other group of oval cars we race in.
And listening in to see, it sounds like it's going to be Adam Buzzio getting a penalty, it looks like, which we talked about. Penalties sometimes can be odd on how we see them, deeming to what the racers might be feeling. And obviously race control feels like the 5 didn't make the move or show the move far enough, but and opposite from who I thought was at fault there for that incident.
Well, yeah, I think you could throw it kind of two ways personally. I mean, looking at it from my standpoint, I mean, the 5 was optimistic there. Most definitely, he was very optimistic to make that work. Now the 6 was definitely, closing the door very quickly. But sometimes, drivers aren't always paying attention to that mirror, especially on the entry of the corners. And I mean, it's tough. It's always such a tough racing deal to decide if you should close the door or should you, cover that move off. And that's definitely the decision for them to be made. So Adam Buzzio is going to have to try to work back from that. No real damage for me by more than anything. The tires most likely hurt, so they'll be trying to come back from that. But the one thing that did interestingly play out here is we did have pit stops actually go down for a few drivers out there. So looked like Gavin Rogers was one of those drivers. So I'm interested to see, will he try to drive his way back up in the position to win a stage here with some fresh tires? I mean, that is wasting one set of tires here. If we get into a little bit of a caution spree there in the late part of this race, he may be a sitting duck by not having that extra set that a lot of these other drivers are going to have.
And I'm watching now for Alexander Light because when he came into pit road, I believe he might have been caught speeding off the exit. I think that the 6 machine might have a penalty that he's going to have to serve, which if that's the case, it just goes from bad to worse, caught up in a wreck, and now he might have to serve a penalty. We'll wait and see if race control clears that for himself. But yeah, the drivers with fresh rubber, 19th on back. How will they try to make this push forward? Because it's going to be a true test to see what that tire difference is like when you've got drivers with 18 old lap tires compared to those that just got some freshies. But up front, it's going to be that of going to be Sean Hausman as well as that of Blaine Wilson, your front 2. Stephen Bell going to be in 3rd. Those 3 drivers, Zach, pulled out to a massive gap. I'm curious on what their tires are looking like. On top of seeing that of Cedric Hunter, Alex Coffey, they were dueling it their way for a great surge. As well as you're going to have in 6th place that of Cody Reed, Steven Stimpian, Dallas Manis, as well as Dakota Camper, and that of Nigel Christensen. Your top 10 ready to get rolling here for the Wicked Racing League. This is only race 2 of the season, and we're back to Green Flag Racing for the Addison birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235. As we are running to that of the end of lap 100. That will be the end of stage 2. Bonus points, the top 10. And here we go, Zach, as drivers scattering everywhere once again.
Yeah, Cody Reed way up the track back there in the 6th position. Unfortunate for him, I think he loses out there a spot to Coffey there. Didn't able to hold that outside groove like he wanted, but Hausman just shot out like a cannon. And here goes Alex Coffey. He wanted to get to that 31's outside there. As you can see, it's the 13 on the screen, but 31 on track here. As it looks like Cedric Hunter going to try to make the move around last week's winner of Borbell here, as he's going to try to make a late charge here for a stage win.
Trying to make this outside lane work. If you're going to get it done, you have to do it now, especially with the worry of fresh tires on the move. That of Gavin Rogers started all the way back in that of a 19th position. He's up to 17th, only able to make one pass, but the drivers up front still. That of Borbell, our winner from last week, holding strong on the inner groove, fully clears for 3rd. But here comes the run from the 2. A great launch, and now battling for 2nd.
What a launch from him there, Alpha 4, man. That was an amazing run, and Blaine just didn't get the run he needed. And right now, Borbell using that to his advantage. He moves up to 2nd. Can he go up there and challenge Hausman in the 78, who we knew struggled very much on those older tires last run? I'm kind of interested to see him running this hard to start off these runs. So maybe he feels that's just the way to go. It's going to have to deal with the tire wear and just hope that he can get a big enough gap. But looks like they are starting to close in on that 78. Is now the 2 coming forward.
And I do want to give a report. Drivers that did, talked about that of Alexander Light, came in with a penalty speeding on the exit of pit road under our yellow flag conditions. He is now coming in to do his drive-through pit stop as drivers up front still trying to gain as many positions as they can. They got fresh rubber and trying to do something with it. It's Gregory Shaw in 18th place. He's got some fresh rubber, as well as the 14 of Brad Delp and that of Gavin Rogers. He's the furthest up of those that just got 4 tires, and he's up to 13.
Yeah, already making a hard charge up here with those tires, and we'll see how quickly they can do it. I knew the first couple laps here, while we're under caution pacing, the tires do cool down from the guys up front that stayed out, so they do gain a little bit of grip back from that cooling down phase. But as soon as these tires start to heat back up, that 77 should be rocketing forward here, and also along with Brad Delph, so in the 14 machine, and Gregory Shaw, because those tires, they're just so valuable on these concrete surfaces. And I would not be surprised to see Gavin Rogers go out here if it stays green and win this stage also.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either, especially on the rate that he is going. Again, it's at the end of lap 100 that we're going to be seeing our second stage and our stage break, as we get to see Christopher Norris as he's rocking his VR system, trying to figure out how to climb even further up. Again, qualified fourth, fell all the way back to basically 21st as Nigel Christensen gets loose. Norris climbs up and trying to make some defensive blocking moves in front of the 45. I mean, this 38 machine, he is having a complete different switch on how he's attacking this stage 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think he learned his lesson, and that's the thing with stages. You get to learn that lesson of what you did wrong in the first stage, and he felt like, oh, the wrecking.
Oh no, Jimmy Kubinek not able to survive that go-around, as well as others piling in. And Zach, I mean, those old tires, they finally came out to strike.
That they did, man. That was a tough break for a couple drivers, and it all started around Kubinek. It just stepped out on him, and I think he might have got a little bit of help from the 14 of Brad Delph. So that is a tough situation there. As we're going to get that instant replay all round up for you guys to see exactly what played out. But it was all on the entry of turn 1 personally, where, you're already trying to hang on to these cars, Sam, but when you get the bump, it just makes everything that much harder. And he fought it pretty much from quarter entry all the way to exit.
Yeah, I mean, you're at lap 80, right? And you're trying to make some moves. I recognize you got about 20 laps to go, and there's Brad Delph, fresh tires, catches up to a driver on older tires, and a little bit more of, I would say, aggressive move, kind of like that last accident. But I would say the 14, a lot more aggressive in the throttle. I think not recognizing the complete speed difference and closing rate. Gets into Kubinek, but Kubinek, too many lucky horseshoes have been used, and away he's going to go as he saves it there, but then the overcorrection is what sends him back up onto the track. He gets scared of seeing Delph and the rest of the field, and it just continues to wiggle out.
Yeah, just trying to hold on to it, and that's such an easy thing to do, and that's kind of the big thing you're trying to tell drivers. Just don't overcorrect that thing. If you are going to spin, try to lock it down to the inside, and Adam Buzzio did a good job. He missed that by just driving straight into the grass for that 5 machine. So, I mean, tough break for drivers who got involved in that, but it's just such a simple mistake, with how hard these cars are to drive tonight. I'm not surprised by seeing a few of those incidents like that.
And
so it looks like this too. Oh, sorry.
No, just listening in to race controls, listening in to see if there's going to be any penalties given out. And there will be a penalty. Brad Delph, just like what we saw being given to Adam Buzzio. It's Brad Delph. A lot of the pressure being put on the drivers that are trying to make the pass on, if you got to make sure it's a clean one, race control is going to strike.
Yeah. And, personally, that one, that's where it all started. I mean, I understand Brad Delph's on new tires. He's got the superior grip level when it comes to the drivers around him. And that's one thing you got to take into account. You can't just drive in there to the grip level of your car, especially when you got one right in front of you that is on older tires. They're just not going to be able to do it. The first couple laps of a run, yeah, they might be able to, drive it in there pretty deep and be able to make it stick. But like I said, those tires start to warm up. Those older ones start to rear their ugly head, and it just gets very, very tough to make the speed that those new tires do. So you got to always think about that. You got to find the open lanes if you have new tires and try to drive around them that way. Unfortunately for Jimmy Kubinek, it was just from the start of that corner on, he was just trying to hold on to it. And I think, the biggest thing that happens there is he's sideways in 1 and 2, holding on to that race car. And when you're sideways like that, you're just heating up the rear tires. It's just making everything that much more hard. And I think when he came off the corner, he put the power down, trying to drive forward, and that's where the rear end stepped out. And just a tough break for a couple drivers there involved in, 2 other drivers, racing incident.
A lot of incidents have started to pile up. We got 4 so far. One of our 4 cautions is our stage break for stage 1. Stage 2 at the end of lap 100 here tonight. But since we're under yellow, gives us time to give some shout outs to incredible sponsors we have here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You see them blinking on your top left. That is iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag have their patented iFlag virtual flag system, which gives clear indications to the drivers on what the flag state is on track. If there's a yellow, if you're being blinked for a blue flag, or if you have a black flag or any flag out there that lets you know on what the state is, as well as giving you the digital pit board. Digital pit board gives you great information such as your fuel usage in the last 5 laps, as well as how many laps of fuel do you have left in your tank, and much more. Go head over to iRacing iFlag and use our promo code FreakyFast2022 when you're purchasing for a discount. Drivers are stacked up, getting ready to get rolling, and it's going to be that of Hoseman, as well as Burbell, Wilson, Hunter, Coffee, and that's your top 5. But Zach, just looming at our top 10, it's that of Gavin Rogers with some with some of the freshest rubber up inside of our top 20. But some did come in this lap. Jimmy Kunek and others, they got some 4 freshies right now.
Yeah, we'll see what their progress is like compared to Gavin Rogers. But yeah, Rogers here going to be in an interesting position, restarting back here in 10th. And, you know, he didn't want to see that. He wants the most green flags laps as possible, but he could try to make a good run here on this restart. If he finds the right lane, finds the right opening, this could be a shot to gain like a lot of positions very quickly.
Who is going to make the right move? Can the front runners pull away quick enough and have a big enough gap to hold off the drivers that are trying to gain as many positions with fresh rubber? Well into the restart zone, and we're green once again here in Music City for the Nashville Super Speedway. And it's Mason Hoseman trying his best to pull away. Great launch for the 78, but it's going to be the outside line trying to have a good run as Wilson gives a tap to the 2 machine on the inside.
Yeah, Burbell drops down low, and that tap almost got him completely sideways, but Cedric Hunter with a good run down the back straightaway. He should be able to pull off 3rd position here as Blaine Wilson's going to drive back to the inside of that 31 machine, but all behind this group that's stacked up here for the lead is that 77 of Gavin Rogers. What can he do? Can he make progress here very quickly, because he's going to need to do it with the laps clicking away here in this stage very fast.
Oh, they're checking up bad, really bad, as they almost got clobbered. The whole entire inside lane had to check up with some of the aggressive racing as Blaine Wilson pushing up on the 31, putting him almost into the outside wall, but it's side by side for the lead. Winner from last week. Here comes Burbell on the inside groove, rocking the Elvis and hoping for some magic as the 2 machine gets low, and it's Hoseman into the outside wall, and Alex Coffey trying to give the push to the 18.
Oh man, this is all going to stack up here because it's going to be 2 by 2 for the first 2 rows. Then you'll have Alex Coffey. He's going to be the decision maker here in this situation. Where does Cedric Hunter go? He looks like he's got the speed, but Hoseman in front of him just doesn't have the grip. He's fighting it. And Gavin Rogers here in the 77, he's starting to lurk into the picture along with Steven Stippian.
And Alex Coffey and Cedric Hunter, gotta say, with the old tires, they look like some of the most stable machines, but it's Cedric Hunter that might just have to shove and push this 78 to clear that of Burbell, but Burbell just enough grip to continue to keep it side by side as Coffey ducks it down low. We're 3 wide for 3rd place as it's a little bit of a stackage. 2, 3, 2. It is looking like a Christmas tree with the way they're running right now. We're 4 wide heading down into turn number 3. Gavin Rogers has to back out, or that could have been messy.
Smart decision from the champ there, man. That could have got messy, like you said there, Sam. So he backs out of it, and we had a quick moment of 4 wide with a 77 new. He still has time. He has the newer tires. No reason to force it right now, as he's going to be looking to the inside of Blaine Wilson down here in the 1. But Cedric Hunter, they're just getting swamped by that move from Alex Coffey. They're going to be looking 3 wide here for the lead down the back straightaway. Burbell on the inside, but now Coffey to that inside.
Coffey gets the inside groove. He's hoping for a good entry, and he's able to throw it down. His tires just have so much more life in them. But Gavin Rogers, he's trying to make it move, but they're 3 wide again as the 77 gets blocked in. And here comes now, it's Cedric Hunter on the inside, looking for help, and across the line, 90 laps. This is still stage 2 here, Zach, as we're 3 wide, 2 rows deep.
Oh, man, this is starting to stack up big. And you also got Gregory Shaw coming in the 51. Cedric Hunter trying to hold on to it. He's wrecking. He's going to take on the 38.
And there's multiple spins going around. Up front, they hold strong, but it's going to be spun, wrecked, and a gaggle of cars scattering on the back stretch as Cedric Hunter, as well as Christopher Norris, the first of the 2 to go around. And the rest of the field had to scatter to get by him.
Yeah, that was a scatter fest if there ever was. And even Rogers, Coffey, and all of them had some incidents after that yellow was happening. And man, oh man, I think Cedric Hunter there, just a big moment in 1 and 2 for him. And just could not hold on to that machine with Christopher Norris right behind him, his teammate, and just ends up, collecting a bunch of cars. Steven Stippian, I think 81, he's lucky to get through it, but there was just a madhouse after that on the back straightaway of drivers looking for any little way to get through those gaps.
And as the drivers, as we're trying to get this replay, you see in our chat, we've had over 21 people vote for it. But if you haven't voted already, how many yellows do you think we're going to have here this evening? Already up to 5. Or I know we're going to have at least 6 with our stage break here in just about 10 laps. But who you think? Will we have that of 1 to 10 cautions, 10 to 20, or could we have more than 20? Right now, with 21 people already voting, they say 57% of people think that it's going to be 1 to 10, 41% think that it's going to be 10 to 20, and 0 people think that it's going to be over 20 cautions, which at the rate we're going, 20 cautions, that's so we're going to have to boost up those cautions at this rate.
Yeah, the rate we're going, yeah, for sure. It's definitely looking tough for these guys to hold on to these machines. As we're going to get to see this replay here, and Cedric Hunter in the 31 machine is 13 on the screen. That pink car, he is just sideways already in the middle of the corner there. You can see he's fighting it, and it's going to drop low. He's going to have a little correction to the right here, and then I think that touch of the yellow line even hurt him a little bit more as he gets loose after he touches that. And just a simple spin, simple mistake that you can make while racing this hard in a pack like that. Everybody stacked up, and look, man. Dallas, man, is Cody Reed. Nowhere to go for those two as they get collected in this business.
Amper tried his best. He couldn't avoid it. Going to be seeing that of the 20 machine. He ducks it down to the inside, but just when the drivers go back up into the racing surface, that's when everyone is panicking, and you're seeing everyone trying their best. Adam Buzzio tried any way to slide and drift his way out of that accident, but so many drivers caught up in that wreck. And one thing is for sure, that is going to be a penalty given to the 31 on our ticker, 13 on screen. That is Cedric Hunter going to be penalized for that one.
Yeah, going to definitely get the penalty for that one, no doubt. That's a home run call there because yeah, it was just a simple mistake on his part, but that is definitely going to be the penalty that gives them the EOL. I mean, and the big thing I think for a lot of these people out here, they need to, have is a lot of them had fast repairs left. And, a few of them may have not because of some of the little bit of carnage we've seen earlier. But we know Cedric Hunter, Christopher Norris, those two are the main people right there involved in it. Dallas Manis also, I believe they all should have had their fast repairs still. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see. But I think the biggest issue is Cedric Hunter's having a tough time getting the pit road. Actually, he might have been waiting for traffic. So, cars damaged like that, they're tough to drive when they're hurt.
They're tough to drive when they're hurt, but I'm now curious on this restart. We saw Gavin Rogers. I mean, he was pressuring, and he's been so aggressive with taking these sets of tires and trying to pass everyone as fast as possible. But I gotta say, Gregory Shaw, I am heavily impressed with the way he was running there. He's on the same set of tires, pretty new compared to those that he's around, as well as Chad Bean. They're looking good, and Richard Wolfsford, they were protecting those tires pretty well. I'm curious on how fast they're gonna look on this restart. It's gonna be a quick shootout. Again, after that of the end of lap 100, it will be our second stage break of the evening. Will be our last, and then we'll race it to the end. But this is really up in the air on who could potentially win this stage, because if you look even back outside of our top 10, just a little bit out of there, is Jimmy Kubinek with some of the freshest tires as well for himself.
Yeah, this is going to get wild. Nonetheless to say, I think Rogers has got a pretty good advantage here being on that outside starting second, having no old tires in front of him. We'll see how Gregory Shaw can navigate it with, restarting third car on the bottom in the 5th place position there. I think he's going to have a lot of pace here to give. But, man, the other crazy thing I think we got to shout out is Mason Halsman. I mean, what a job by him to be holding on to first place still. I mean, he was all over the place. He was holding on for dear life there on that top side with everybody stacking up behind him. And somehow through all of that mess there, he's been able to hold on to this lead. But now is going to be the toughest time because those brand new fresh tires are right there to the outside of him. It's going to be very, very tough to hold that back.
It's going to be extremely tough. If you're just joining us, we've had ourselves 5 cautions here this evening. One of those was our stage 1 back at lap 50. A ton of different lead changes. We've had one driver call it a night. That's Steve Cole. Everyone else still out on track, trying to get the best finish that they can. And it's time for us to race it to the end of stage 2 at the end of lap 100. Osmond, as well as Rogers, side by side, and here comes the 77, already putting the pressure for the lead.
Yeah, that was a great restart from that outside lane for him. That, normally you see a couple more car lengths gap but Halsman not able to do that. But look at the great crossover off of turn number 2 is it's going to be down the back straightaway. It's going to be the 77 of Gavin Rogers trying to go and win stage number 2 after, I mean, just a mental lapse, not hitting pit road and having to go to the back. He's now going to have the lead when they cross the line.
Crossing the line, it is going to be 5 laps to go in the stage, but if a caution happens before we get to lap 100, that will count as our stage break. That's why everyone's got to get so aggressive now. The battling for third is heating up, and for the lead, still the 78 was holding strong on the outside, but finally clearing it out. Now, all eyes on third place. It's Alex Coffey trying to hold off the 2 of Borbell, as well as the drivers with some fresh rubber trying to get by of that of Gregory Shaw.
Gregory Shaw will see what he can do. Can he split the middle here? I don't know what decision he's going to make, but looks like he's going to decide to take that outer groove there to get to the outside of last week's winner there, Stephen Borbell. And it's going to be that 51 machine driving around the outside here and trying to make the power move off of turn 2 to clear here for third place, or sorry, for fourth place here as it's all stacking up. As I got to say, Halsman had a great restart to get away from these guys, and now Coffey, can he hold him back here and just try to salvage some points on these older tires? That would be super impressive.
They're about 20 lap difference in tires, and right now Alex Coffey doing a great job holding strong for now. 3 laps to go before this stage is done. Top 10 get those bonus points, and that is where you want to be, as that is Johnny Shade takes that 10th place position away from Richard Wolsifer. Wolsifer is fighting back, as this is the cutoff line. Who's going to get that last bonus point, the 47 or the 56?
This is it, Sam. This is the battle for that point, like you said, and Richard's got those fresher, Johnny Shade's got the fresher tires than him because they came in that time before. And then also you got Nigel Christensen. He's pit 8 laps ago, so we'll see, can he make use of his tires unless he decided not to take it. That's the question. It's always interesting to see what the decisions are if it's only fuel, but I think that 20, he's got a little more pace in the bag right now. He might be able to try to go up there and get into that stage points.
And as the drivers go through 3 and 4, we're coming up to lap 100. This is our stage break for the drivers. One more lap to go. One more opportunity to crack into the top 10 and get the best points possible. And Alex Coffey, he's trying to figure out, does he want to pressure for the pass or does he just settle in as the drivers race around the exit of turn 2. Gavin Rogers looking strong for himself, but drivers are having issues in the back half of the field. Lane Wilson's one of them, but coming through 3 and 4, it is going to be all Gavin Rogers. Give him stage 1, give him stage 2. The 77 maxes out on points.
That he does, and what a way to do it, coming back from, having to start so far back in the field. Great job on him there. It looks like Alex Coffey's going to bring it home in second as he stays ahead of Mason Halsman with Gregory Shaw there in fourth, and Borbell rounding out that top 5. So a wild into that stage, a lot more incidents, but I tell you what, it's setting up for a crazy ending of this race with so many different drivers on different tire strategies.
Yeah, a ton of different strategies, but we're expecting all of them to reset and get ready for us to see them get back on the same of 4 tires, fuel, and take us to the end. And for us, we're going to take a little bit of a break for ourselves. We're 100 laps in, and we will be going side by side so you don't miss a thing as you're currently watching the Wicked Racing League Season 2, race number 2 of the Addison's Birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235 here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Again, we're going to take a quick break side by side. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're about to get ourselves rocking and rolling to race it to the end. It's going to be Nigel Christensen leading the way with that of Carl Pooler in that of second place. As drivers getting ready to get stacked up, we want to give a big thanks to the sponsor here at the Wicked Racing League, and that's Buttkicker. Feel what you've been missing. Big thanks to all the sponsors that help out the leagues to allow them to be the most successful that they can, as well as want to give a big thanks. No, we don't have the logo for them, but big thanks. They are the replay sponsor for VGT Consulting, for being a major grouping partner for here at that of the Wicked Racing League. Drivers are stacked up. Zach, this is a weird starting group because we've got Nigel Christensen, Carl Pooler as our front two. Alex Coffey's back in 8th. Gavin Rogers in 9th. Just an odd spiel for them. It looked like a little bit of awkward state on how the drivers wanted to get into pit road.
Yeah, definitely different strategies all over the place right now. I think Rogers in the 77, I mean, he's back in 10th, right? Or sorry, going to be around the 9th position, restarting on that inside road. This is going to get interesting because I think a lot of the guys up ahead of him have made some type of strategy call here with tires to save a set. So we'll see how that works out. I know if you were with some fresher tires before, but this restart should be wild.
A little bit odd, a little bit crazy, but let's see how we can take it to the end, as the drivers are going to have 70 laps to see who's going to win here at the Addison's Birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235, as we're green once again, and it's going to be Christensen trying to take off Cody Reed, Carl Pooler, and that is Cedric Hunter on the charge.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter, I watched him during that last portion before they pitted from that incident. He was riding around the back running 33-second laps. I think he was saving the tire that he took from before to try to get this track position here. We'll see. Does it work out for that 13 or does it backfire here, as he's going to be going immediately to the inside of that 25 of Cody Reed here and try to make the power move, and it looks like he'll possibly be able to clear here down into one, still side by side for now, but that 31 machine able to get up to second, and he's going to have Nigel Christensen directly in front of him now. We'll see if he can get himself to the lead.
And it's going to be also, as we're riding on board with 25, seeing the battling for a front two ahead of him behind, starting to get a little bit mixy because Alex Coffey wants to get moving, and he's going to be having that of Carl Pooler to his outside. And Carl Pooler, he's not afraid to duel it out, even on old tires with anyone that he's around. As you see, smacking the wall, it's Richard Wolsifer having issues for the 56.
Oh no, that big issues there. You don't want to get into that wall. It checks you up so much, and it can really hurt that race car too, especially if that right side gets weakened by multiple hits. So definitely don't want to do that. But now Steven Stimpy, a big power move for him here down the inside of Dakota Camber, or sorry, Steven Morbell.
And for the lead, Cedric Hunter takes it away from Nigel Christensen, as the 20 just has to watch that pass be made. And right now, top four, older tires. Again, they pitted. They didn't pit it before our our stage yellow. So plenty of drivers switching up what they want to do here. It's that of Alex Coffey, who's on the freshest of tires, running now in 5th place.
Yeah, Alex Coffey here going to be the leader of the freshest tires, like you said there, Sam. And that's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Gavin Rogers, you know, he had that lead on the first stage where he was able to drive out and get that huge gap. Now he's got to make passes with guys on similar tires to him. This is going to be where he gets that true test. He's had 2 stage wins already tonight, but he's got to really focus up now if he wants to make something happen. As Christopher Norris going to get passed by that 7, Alex Coffey. He's going to be making his charge forward from up to 4th now. They're going to be looking soon to possibly get Nigel Christensen and Reed, as Hunter's trying to pull away.
And Alex Coffey coming into this season, 3 wins for the 7 machine, and he's looking for 4 for his career. Those other wins at Dover, Kansas, and at Sonoma. I mean, you think about Dover. If you succeed at Dover, that's a concrete surface track. You come to another concrete surface. It's weird how it translates so well, even though the tracks are designed so differently.
Yeah, it is interesting how they're so different. But when you have similar surfaces, it takes a similar driving style to make the tires work, because the tires are the most important thing. Everybody knows that here in iRacing. Tires are everything. If you ain't got the tires figured out, you're going to be, possibly fast for a couple laps. A lot of people can run fast laps for, 5 to 10 laps. But if you don't have the tires figured out how to make them last and go quick, then you can be in a real big trouble when it comes down to the thick of things. But right now, you're seeing Chad Bean there battle with Buzzio, but Buzzio makes the clean pass on the bottom of the 5 as he's recovering from that EOL still.
And these drivers are being notified if you have over-exceeding blinking issues, which the 78 is having. They are saying if his internet does not get cleared up, he will get black flag and have to do a drive-through penalty. You hate to see that, but when a driver is having issues like he's having, it can be a hazard for everyone else on track. But right now, it looks like 78 has cleared it up. Well, he's hoping to have it cleared up at least right now.
Yeah, that is it's a tough call to make, but it's a good call to make too, because when you have someone out there that's disappearing frequently, it can make for a very big incident. Unfortunately for that 78, I think it's pretty frequent still, as it seems to be coming back on this lap. So if it doesn't stop soon, the 78 Mason Hossman, he's been having a great run all night. It's going to be in big trouble here, as it does continue to keep happening for him. There is Jamie Plord here right in front of the 6 machine of Alexander Light, as they're trying to battle back here for 15th and 16th.
Battling for 15th and 16th, and right now for both drivers, both kind of just trying to settle in the best they can. Alexander Light, he lucked out on the fact that the time of the caution for the caution before our stage break, because it allowed him to get back on the lead lap after having to do a drive-through penalty after our stage one caution flag. So the 6 feeling much better now in 16th place, trying to gain as much time as possible as we now move up to the battle for 6th. It's Stimpian and also Mason trying to hold on, and Stimp's got to be careful because he's almost wrecked this 78 with the amount of blinking that's been happening.
Yeah, it's been close a few times. It's been right in front of him, and when someone blinks away like that, you're kind of scared to get back into the gas, because if they reappear right in front of you, it's an easy incident to happen. But Hossman racing here strong with Stimpian, and he's going to continue on. It looks like it's cleared up for now, but it's definitely been there throughout the night.
And as this passing action is happening right now, big kudos to Cedric Hunter, Cody Reed, 1st and 2nd right now. They've done a great job holding off Alex Coffey and also that of Gavin Rogers. It seems like Rogers is the one that's feeling the pressure, it seems like. He does not like this dirty air. He wants to get back to that lead position where he can really start to save these tires to the fullest. In traffic, this 77 is starting to get a little agitated.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to figure it out here. This has been the first time tonight that he's had to deal with this top 5 group with a similar set of tires. It's always been an advantage, or he's been out in the lead. So it's always a learning curve when you're back here. But I think he's being smart. He's knowing that he can't make anything happen too quickly. His Coffey's going to have the huge run now, and he's going to be looking to get the 2nd. But if he can just try to follow Coffey through, that'll be a great spot for him. But I think it's going to be Cody Reed able to get down to the bottom here before that 77 does. But the 25 up the racetrack, trying to maybe get to the 7s outside. This is going to open the door up for Gavin Rogers.
And Gavin Rogers getting the better launch out of turn 2 as arriving on board with the 25. Watch out, as we're going to be staying in line for at least our top 5. Gavin Rogers trying to set up, get a mistake at least made by Cody Reed. And Cody Reed, we were riding on board with, talked about how he's trying to learn, but right now getting a great picture of Alex Coffey, one of the top contenders from season 1, trying to get by one of our rookies of this season.
Yeah, trying to get by that rookie, but the older set of tires I think are starting to show up for Cedric Hunter here, as Coffey's going to have to go to the inside here, down to 3 and 4, and try to look to make that pass. And I think the interesting thing for also this run, Sam, is these guys are not going to be able to make it on fuel. About a 70-lap run, these guys, I'd say, could go around 55 to 56 laps here tonight on a tank of fuel. So that is going to make it in an interesting position of when do you want to split up this run and come to pit road. And if you're looking for a good sim racing product to let drivers know that you're going to be pitting in, you need to go check out the admin box, because it's one of the best button boxes out there, because it gives you the driver functionality that is already pre-programmed into it for pitting in or pitting out of your boxes, changing how much fuel or even tires you put on your car. But you also get that admin functionality where you get to control the race and do be race control. So make sure you check out the discount code there on screen, FFB/BOXX, and you get a discounted purchase for the admin box.
A little bit of hold your breath moment. Steven Stimpian was almost 45 degrees off of facing straight, and somehow is still pointing in the right direction now in 7th position. A big scare for that 81. And now this group starting to see, even for those that pitted under that last restart, they're starting to show signs of tire wear as the 2 drops it down low. Here comes the aggressive move from that Mason, trying to get by Cody Reed. But I got to say, the 2 of Borbell, I'm so impressed on Borbell in the way that he's been getting more consistent. I think that was something that consistency wasn't the top suit for this 2 last season, but he certainly has developed it more through the offseason into season 2.
Completely agree with you, Sam. It seemed like that was possibly his weakness. Is he had great runs at points, and then just some weeks it just seemed like it never clicked. And to start the season off with 2 amazing runs already like this, as it's going for him already in this race, that's great to see. But look who's also coming into the picture. Adam Buzzio in the 5. I'm interested to see how he can figure out here late into this race, because he was the driver with the best average finish last season of any of these drivers out here. I mean, and it was in the 4th place finish range. So he needs to get himself moving here if he wants to be able to get up into that position. And I tell you what, he learns more and more as this race goes on. He looks like he's in a good spot there, as he's got Camper right behind him and watching this battle with Christopher Norris and Borbell.
Well, he might have just learned that Camper might give you a space here right now at this moment, but I don't know if Camper's going to do that same move later on, as the 5 starting to get impatient, dives it down low, getting by that of Christopher Norris, now setting up for Borbell. But Adam Buzzio, you talked about it, the most consistent from last season, and it just always seemed like he was there at the end of these races. He might not always be the fastest driver, even through practice week, setting up for these races. Would not always sound the most confident, but when you got to the race stage, when race pace kicked in, when strategy was a part of it, that's when this 5 really started to shine, and that's why he's always there at the end, and might not be the threat for victory lane, but always a top 5.
Yeah, no, that you couldn't have said it better, Sam. He is the model of consistency and really just making sure the end of the race works out for him. You know, some points of the race, he may be in a tough hole, but he always seems to climb his way back out. Right now, looking to that outside of Christopher Norris here, see if he can get it done. And, you know, Norris on the older set of tires here compared to Buzzio. So I think Buzzio is going to be able to make this pass. And just like that, great crossover off of 4. And he's going to have the inside line, the preferred groove here down the 1 and 2. I think Christopher Norris is just going to have to concede that position.
Going to concede for that position, but behind them, Chad Bean, he is falling backwards. He had great track position, but that is going to be Alexander Light making the pass, and this 9 has been struggling on the exit of the corners. That's where he's been trying to learn. And again, another one of those drivers that's maybe not the most proficient in these next-gen cars, but really came into this league just trying to learn from the fast drivers, and that's what he's been doing week in and week off. I know I've seen him working with Gavin Rogers, trying to get little nitpicks of things to work on each week. And this 9 certainly is trying to find some consistency. Really the staying on track aspect has helped him be in this 12th place position, but he's got to be careful. That right side has clobbered the outside wall a couple of times on the exit of these corners, and it's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, it only gets worse. That's part of the damage model here in iRacing. That side will weaken with more hits taken to it. So you got to watch out for that, but got to watch out also for the 43, of Dakota Camper here, as he's starting to move his way onto the back bumper of the 2 machine of Borbell, and it looks like Cody Reed there suffering a little bit from that tire, where I've seen him sliding a little bit. I've also seen Cedric Hunter in the 31. He's been having a bunch of issues with the tires. So those drivers that did stay out there at the stage break and tried to conserve the tires before.
Ooh. And it's going to be issues for drivers on the backstretch. Looks to be that of the 40 machine of Ryan Thomas. And his issues, he's been struggling here this evening, and might have been some drivers just searching for a little bit too much here tonight. And that will be our 7th caution of the evening. It's going to be our 5th on-track incident, bringing out a yellow, as drivers trying everything that they can here tonight, Zach. And what makes this caution so interesting, the drivers are inside the window where they can make it from here.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot more interesting now, because no green flag pit stops to worry about for these drivers. That, I think, takes a huge weight off a lot of their shoulders because of that access entry to pit road. That makes it so much more tough under green to not make that mistake. And now drivers know this is their shot. And oh no, Gavin Rogers, did he? I know he's got less tires, but he stays out while we get to check out this replay and what brought out the yellow.
Yeah, and as we're looking at this replay, watch out for the 40 machine. That is going to be Thomas, who goes going to be trying to stay high, but it's the contact from that of Harrison as well into DeRoches, comes back up, clobbers the 40 machine. And for that of Ryan Thomas, he has been struggling here tonight, and that does not help at all for the Bojangles machine, who's going to be rocketing through the grass, but that brings out the yellow. And Zach, like you said, different strategies being thrown out. Gavin Rogers, this is a nightmare for the 77.
It really is. I mean, he's on 27 lap old tires now. I tell you, I know what the call is here for. It's got to be because he's took an extra set of tires throughout this race. That is the only thing I can think in my mind that he's going to do. But he's also not going to make it now when it comes to fuel. He's going to have to take a green flag pit stop. So I understand what he's doing here, but I would think you just come to pit road, at least fuel the car up. You'll still keep the lead by just fueling and not taking those tires, especially being the leader or second place, at least coming down. But the decision there, definitely head scratching, but I think he thinks that there's going to be a caution. I think he's kind of banking on that. He will lose track position here, along with Chad being also in the 9 who stayed out with him. But, they feel like they don't want to waste that last set of tires they have because it could get, a little mixy here, as they'd say, and we might see a few more times for that yellow flag out here at the Nashville Superspeedway.
I would say the yellow is very likely to be coming out again, especially on some of the drivers that are deeper in the field that need to start moving forward, and some that are giving themselves a second chance to be driving through this field. But I gotta say, this also is going to be a little bit head scratcher because at the same time, Chad Bean in the 9 also staying out. Bean was struggling on the exit of the corner where he was just getting so tight. This 9, hopefully he'll be starting on the outside, but if for some reason Gavin Rogers restarts on the outer groove, that's going to put this 9 in a terrible spot. And for the rest of the field, that could bring out that caution that Gavin Rogers is waiting for.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. I mean, if you're Rogers here, the biggest thing that you want is you don't want kind of a quick yellow even. I mean, yeah, a yellow flag is going to help him here, but a quick yellow will just put him in the same position where then he'll have to make the decision to come to pit road then, and then it's just all track position loss. So this thing out was all for nothing. I think he wants to get to a point where he feels like it's going to be the last caution of the race, but that's so hard to tell in racing. When you're a driver out there, you're driving by the seat of your pants, you're just trying to tell what type of strategy you should do. And, that I think is one thing a lot of people don't take into account with sim racing. We think about watching NASCAR. They have a crew behind them that sits there, breaks things down, makes a lot of the decisions for the driver when the driver just has to go out there and focus on their race. Not that in sim racing. These drivers out here, unless you have some type of spotter in the background, which Gavin Rogers doesn't, then you have to go out here, make these decisions on your own, make the right call when you need to, because if you don't make the right call, you are in big, big trouble. So it kind of all lies on you as a driver, so you can't blame nobody else. But it is a tough thing, I think, in sim racing that a lot of people don't take into account, is that it is all the calls made by the driver's seat. And when you're in the driver's seat, you got the blinders on a lot of times, and you don't see the full aspect of the whole race going on around you.
So much of these drivers trying to take in that knowledge. Where do you want to be at the end of this race? How do you want to set up? For the majority of these drivers, banking on this race to stay green to the end, to need a caution, and they may need it in the next about 10 to 15 laps to utilize an advantage. But would anyone else be able to utilize that advantage for themselves as well? As it is going to be Gavin Rogers, Chad Bean, old tires, hoping for a good run. Biggest issue, this is the biggest gap that we have seen of tire difference. It is 20, that of 27 lap difference. This is huge. But here we go. It's into the restart zone, and let's see how Gavin Rogers, Chad Bean can hold off Alex Coffey. And here comes the rest of the field.
Oh, and also some issues too as Chad Bean didn't get going well. Mason Hossman blinks out, and Cedric Hunter takes it 3 wide to the middle with Steven Stippian in the 31 watching up the track, but the 9 luckily goes up 2, and just like that, the field spreads out off of turn 2 as Rogers is shot out of a cannon.
It's just pandemonium because right now, that of Mason Osmond is the driver that is kind of stuck in the middle, and he's just constantly blinking, and drivers not fully sure where he is at. They're 2-3 wide as Chad Bean continues to fall backwards. Somehow Gavin Rogers is still leading this race on old rubber, and you see there the complete difference of someone that's been up front and someone that's still trying to get used to. It might have been a little frightened with the fresh rubber around it.
Yeah, not only that, but when you're in that upper groove, there's way less grip up there. You got the older tires. It's just not the place to be. And already now Coffey taking advantage of those older tires from Gavin Rogers. He's going to look to the inside down here in the 3 and 4 and try to take that lead. And then Steven Stippian going to be coming from behind here in the 81. And that is just going to be what the 81 wants to see, is he's going to go past Rogers. Then you'll have Cedric Hunter. And then you'll also have that group of Mason Hossman and also Steven Borbell battling there as Hossman's going to make the pass.
Osman makes the pass cleanly, and here we go. It is a true duel. Alex Coffey, Steven Stympian. This was something we were expecting to see, but that Steven Stympian got caught with a speeding penalty back at stage 1. Now this 81 machine is back up front, challenging, and it is all about the fresh rubber, trying to see who can get up front. Coffey's in the better advantage, but look at the move by Buzzio to the inside, almost forcing it 3 wide.
Ooh, so close there to getting to the inside of Borbell, and I think he might even try still, but Borbell's going to close that door as Rogers now. He's going to feel that helpless feeling. He's going to be up top, and he's going to be dropping back like a rock. As we say that, Steven Stympian up front in the 81. He looks to the inside, Alex Coffey for the lead, and he's going to be able to take that spot after speeding on pit road after stage 1. He has now come back here, folks.
Oh, here comes that switchback, though, from the 7. He's going to be trying to close in and will not be able to beat out the 81. Contact for the lead! Alex Coffey! It takes out Stympian!
Oh, man, that was a wild incident.
Oh, my goodness.
Tough. Yeah, and personally just looking at that one, Coffey there on the inside, just maybe coming up the racetrack a little bit, Stympian, somewhat, not too far up, but yeah, that right there, bizarre incident to have happened, and I think that was just Coffey judging that the 81 may go higher, so we'll get to see how that all shook up, but man, oh man, the two drivers battling for the lead, just like that in the blink of an eye, involved in an incident. Now I think if you're Gavin Rogers, you have to come to pit road as we get to see this incident.
And the big thing to watch out here, you got the two drivers trying to hold their positioning. Alex Coffey going to be ducking it down low. Stympian will hold the middle lane, just giving enough space, maybe a lane and a half of room. But at this point, Coffey is expecting there to be more space. Stympian holds steady on his line and then hits the wall, comes back up. And this is going to be really a lot on race control on what they're going to deem this on, if it's the 7 coming up or the 81 holding his line. And that's a tough call on their part.
I don't want to be in that position to make that call. And, I'm unsure if it is. It looks like they've already given an EOL to Alex Coffey. So that possibly could be for that or either the incident. So nobody gets a black flag coming to pit road. So either way, he's going to get the EOL for Alex Coffey. But I tell you, that is a tough call to make because like you said, Sam, it's, Coffey's down low. He's coming up high. But also Stympian kind of just holds his ground there. And maybe even, as you come out of that tri-oval, a lot of times you expect people to go almost washing out towards that outside wall. But, if you look at the cars behind them, Steven Stympian was in a similar position to those cars is behind him. So I'm not too surprised to see that contact with the 7 washing up like that. But definitely a tough call to be made by race control there. And, whew, that was a scary moment. Cedric Hunter, he just got by a couple inches. I think he even made a slight bit of contact on the right front fender, but it doesn't like it hurt it at all. So luckily for him, he holds on to that. But this race is changing up before the blink of our eyes, and Adam Buzzio up into the top 4 now for him in the 5 machine. It just seems like he always can make it up at the end of these races.
But Zach, the one question I'm looking at is the driver in 7th place. Gavin Rogers, once again, staying out. That wasn't the caution he wanted. He is going to stay out and hope and bank on another yellow, which that is going to put him even deeper in the field because we just had that of Chad Bean, Wolsifer, Alex Coffey, Steven Stympian, all come into pit road to get themselves some type of tire or damage repair, majority of them taking their last set of tires. Gavin Rogers must see something else that he wants. He must be wanting a caution here with 20 to go. That is the only thing that I could be seeing that this 77 is looking for. Otherwise, this was the prime time to come into pit road.
Yeah, I believe most of these drivers, because they've hit pit road 4 times tonight for majority of them. Gavin Rogers has only hit pit road 3 times, but I think for majority of these drivers, they all should have at least 1 set left. For Rogers pitting 3 times, he should technically have 2. So, that's an interesting situation in my eyes. But, maybe my data showed up wrong. But, it is questionable. If he does have more than 1 set of tires left, I think that was a no-brainer to pit there. But if he only has 1 set left, I kind of understand the decision because that gut feeling, you've seen what's going on so far in this race. There's been multiple incidents and multiple yellows here to bring them out. 6 cautions due to incident here tonight. And I think he has that gut feeling as being the champion that we might see some more of those, and he wants to save that last set if he does have one left.
Well, for these drivers getting ready to get stacked up, gives us time to shout out some more of our amazing sponsors. And actually, this is an amazing event that we have that we're putting on here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. That is our Daytona 500. February 11th. It is our second annual charity event we had last year. It was the 6 hours of Daytona endurance racing. Well, we're more so covering oval racing, so why not bring in heading to the same track, but this time it's the full-length Daytona 500, 500 miles for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Crazy numbers that we've already seen. We're just trying to get drivers into the Discord to register to race, and we've already crushed our original goal of $500 to donate for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Our new goal, over $1,000. We'll see if we can hit that, but Zach, it's simple to get in, and we're hoping to see more people just donate, because we've already seen that, but other drivers that said they couldn't race, they still want to help out a great cause.
Yeah, we've had some amazing donations from a lot of drivers that aren't even racing. I mean, I got to give them so much credit. So many drivers, it's a minimum of $5 donation. And I mean, most people have knocked that out of the ballpark. So, such a giving community we got here at Freaky Fast. And I can't wait to see what we can do on that February 11th race. So, make sure you check out that fundraiser link I just put in there if you want to go donate some money and help us get to that $1,000 goal.
Can't wait for it, but for tonight, we still got some great racing. It's going to be Cedric Hunter, Mason Houseman going to be up front, and already the 78 dropping down to the inside lane before they cross the line. Interesting by the 78 with Stephen Borbell going to be in that of third, holding steady, but that 78 made that move a lot sooner than I was expecting him to make it.
Yeah, that's an interesting call. You know, personally, I'm not too sure on the ruling on that. I'm not sure if that is a penalty or not, but that's up to race control to deem, and they'll figure that one out. But tell you what, drivers are now pushing full bore, trying to find every little bit of grip they got left in the tires, and we're seeing a lot of mixing up through the middle portion of that field as drivers are trying to charge their way up to the front spot. But I tell you what, Mason Hossman, he's wasted no time tonight in that 78. He's going to be all over the back bumper of this 31 coming off a 2, and I think he's going to be looking to make the move. He has no disregard for those tires.
No, not at all, and he's going to be trying to make the pass for the lead, and as he ducks it down low, you can see in the back half of our camera, it is getting very mixy in the later half of the field. As the pass is made for the lead, Cedric Hunter just hits in line and will wait this one out, but there is a lot of drivers, and it's being surrounded by Gavin Rogers and Limitless, trying to figure out how to get by the 77. Christopher Norris now going to be on the outside, and everyone else stacked 2 by 2 right behind him.
Yeah, this is a huge stack up now with Rogers on that bottom on 40-lap old tires here. So he's just trying to hang on for whatever he can, not get ran over, not get wrecked, and get through this mix. As it's 3 wide there, Pooler on the top side. Manis has to back out. Now comes Ryan Thomas. And tell you what, he was having a tough race early at this point. He's involved in some incidences. They're 3 wide back there, 2 even a couple rows back, because it's going to be shade in the middle. Christensen on the bottom and Manis up top, and it's going to all come together there.
Manis holds on. Nigel Christensen almost got bounced up in the outside line. Now side by side behind that 3 wide action. It's Steven Stippian and Alex Coffey who just brought up the last caution. Both of them had to go to the tail end of the field. EOL for the 7, required damage for the 81, but they're still trying to figure out how to climb their way forward. They've cracked the top 20, but that's as far as they can go. Oh boy, they're still 3 wide, almost 4 wide heading into turn 1.
Everybody looking for any little bit of space out on this racing surface, and you see Rogers, he ducked high because he knew these were a bunch of hungry wolves. His old DeRoche is almost pushing the 81 up into that 77. Luckily for their sake, the 57 keeps it down the racetrack there for that moment. But wow, what a crazy event here so far, because these guys are trying everything in their power to get up here farther, because they know it's been short runs. There's no reason to save your tires here. They just want to go forward and just use every little bit of grip they have.
And speaking of using every little bit that they have, the driver that actually has the freshest of tires right now is the 56 of Richard Wolsifer in 13th position, trying to make the pass right now on Ryan Thomas. I mean, Ryan Thomas, he's been scattered, he's been up in the wall, he's been multiple laps down, and he's up in the top 15 for this 40.
Yeah, what a comeback for him there, just involved in a yellow not too long ago, and Richard in this 56, I mean, with the fresher tires, here getting passed by Dallas Manis. That's not what he wants to see go down for him, because he's going to have Alex Coffey also with him there in the 7, who I believe may have took tires after that incident too. So this is going to be an interesting call from them. While this battle's going on back here, we also got a battle going on for the lead now as Cedric Hunter's trying to find the lead on Mason Hossman, but just doesn't have the run off of 4. But Cody Reed, look at him in the 25, up the 3rd here, getting past last week's winner, Stephen Borbell.
And then, Zach, we were kind of talking about this as the fact that, stage racing, it allows drivers to develop and learn how to get better throughout the race. And having 2 stages really allows you to, maximize these tires. Maybe you overcooked them the first go around. Maybe you were too cautious and you got to learn how to get a little bit more aggressive. And that's what we're seeing these drivers at this moment as Cody Reed, Cedric Hunter right behind the 78, but also Stephen Borbell seems to be struggling with the 2 right in front of Adam Buzzio.
Yeah, they seem to be struggling right now to find the grip level that they need to move forward here. But it was a big move from Buzzio there to the inside down to 3 last time by and just couldn't make it stick. So he's dropping back as that 43 Dakota Camper's coming into the picture. But Cody Reed using every little bit of grip here in these tires. He's going to look to the outside, but get loose there. Ooh, big moment for him there as that rear end stepped out sideways. Luckily, he caught it early and had no major qualms coming off that corner as he keeps it straight. But that 78 out front, he is definitely under threat right now with 2 hungry drivers right behind him as rookies.
I mean, Houseman's got to be trying something at this point of just settle in. We know that in the later runs, that's when these tires really start to fall off, and we're closing in on 20 to go. This is when it's crunch time. Has the 78 learned enough on how to protect these tires? And I got to say, from what I'm seeing, I don't think he has. He's just running too high, in my opinion, on running that middle lane where we know that's burning off more of these tires. That's where the 78's been struggling.
I completely agree, Sam. When you run up that racetrack like that, you're putting more stress on those tires than you need to be, and it can have a detrimental effect on them. But that middle part of the field, from what I'm seeing, it's still very wild. I don't think that yellow flag has seen its last time for flying tonight with how it's been back farther past that 7.
Not at all. It is really from 12th on back, and in the thick of things, it's Steven Stimpin, Christopher Norris gets it to Thomas, and there goes that 45 down into the grass. We somehow stay green, but it's the 40, broken toe length, and he's up in the wall. We stay green for now. No, we won't. Drivers wrecking and spinning to 55, and the 45 colliding on the entry of turn 1.
Well, I hate to say I gave the commentator a curse there for that yellow flag. Christopher Norris, I believe, in the background, if I'm not mistaken.
That's actually Tyler Dangler.
Oh, Tyler Dangler, yeah, it was. Just backwards into the background there. I don't know exactly how that ended.
Oh, he got clobbered by that of Mike Thomas.
Oh, man, yeah, that was an ARCA break if we've ever seen one. But, whew, we'll have to see how this all played out, because that was some of the most wild racing I've seen all night. And I just felt like, the storm was brewing when it came to the caution flag, and it was out of nowhere.
Well, we like to use the term ARCA brake a lot in other series. It's a term where you do not really use the brake very often, or when you touch the brake, it's very minimal when you're trying to slow down when there's a wreck in front of you. I would say this is probably the most egregious wreck of ARCA braking when we get to see this replay, which all of these replays presented by VGT Consulting. Thank you so much for VGT Consulting for helping out and sponsoring the Wicked Racing League. But this wreck all was building up. This was over 10 laps of drivers just being aggressive with one another. And you see Christopher Norris, he gets shoved by Steven Stimpin on the center of the corner. Just too much speed, couldn't hold on. But then you see everyone go up. But watch the 45. This is what comes back on the track. And Zach, you see the 45, those wheels are turning. He's keeping it in the throttle, not really trying to slow down too much. And it's when he gets back on the racing surface where everything goes wrong.
Yeah, he was trying to hold it down there, not go into pit lane. And from here, everything breaks loose as he comes back up towards the racing surface. And I think he had a few other drivers that were sitting here, and you can see here, there's the 57, there's the 47, then the 55, nowhere for the 45, you see the 45 jump, and you can see the 55, nowhere for him to go. He gets collected in it. And then from there, I believe
we go back to the 1. Yeah, the 1 machine. If we can get it right on with him, he just is not going to slow down one bit. Tyler Dangler in front, he's slowing down. He sees that there's a wreck. This 1, zero regard to brakes, and just takes out the 69 like he was the brake for the 1.
Yeah, that is a tough one, man. That's when it comes down to the fact that you see people wrecking, even if the yellow flag isn't out yet, which I believe it already was. You gotta start thinking to slow down. If you don't try to slow down in time, like that, you will have major incidents like that, and just in the blink of an eye, man, it happens like that. So I believe Thomas is going to be given the EOL even for that too. So yeah, it was a mental lapse, if I'd ever say. It's definitely one of those things where you lose focus of what's going on in front of you, and just Tyler Dingler taking the brunt of that. I mean, that was such an abrupt and heavy hit there at the last moment after that incident. It was breaking down in front of him.
Well, we got a lot of drivers with different strategies now. They've got to figure out how do you want to run this race. And right now, we've got about 4 drivers that are going to be on old tires, and leading that is going to be Gregory Shaw in the 51, hoping for a decent run for himself. But I'm curious on the thoughts of the 51 machine as he's been climbing up and down through the field. And Gregory Shaw, we're going to bring him up into the booth to get his thoughts. Gregory, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Do we got you?
Hello, what's up, guys?
Well, Gregory, you've been having an up and down night. You've been trying to fight to be up front. You're on some of the oldest tires out there with your teammate of Alexander Light. But man, how are you feeling getting ready for this restart with those older tires?
Just want to see what happens. We're hoping on a couple yellows here, maybe get down to the green-white checkers. But I know Alex is out of tires, and I'm just kind of seeing what we can do, and who knows.
Well, Gregory, I tell you, man, it's going to be fun to watch from us up here in the booth. I'm sure it's going to be nerve-wracking from the driver's seat. You said your teammate Alexander Light there, he has no tires left. Are you also in that same boat? Because that's got to be a tough position to be in.
I haven't checked. I think I accidentally took tires on one of the wrecks I got into at the beginning. So we'll see if we still got the stickers, but I don't know what the best time to use them would be if we did.
Well, Gregory, we know you got to get ready for this restart, but man, good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you later on.
All right, thank you, guys.
As that is going to be the Limitless Esports driver, the 51 of Gregory Shaw. He's going to be up front, and Zach, I believe Gregory doesn't have any sets of tires left, and that's a tough spot to be when you're on 27-lap old tires for Shaw, and for Light, he's on 28-lap old tires.
I mean, what a crazy scene of events, because also, one of the contenders up front who pit for new tires, Cedric Hunter, he sped on pit road. So throw the 31 out of the fold here unless something crazy goes down. He's going to have to drive through a major part of the field. Now Steven Stimpy and Alex Coffey, they're on a little bit fresher than Shaw and Light, but this is 2 rows right here of older tires with the new row of tires there, Cody Lee and Mason Austin.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You've been watching the Wicked Racing League on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's less than 20 laps, and the Addison birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235 is back to Green Flag Racing.
And great start there from the 51, being able to control that restart. That allows you to have such an advantage there. Alexander Light having the green light from his teammate is able to get down in the second, but it's going to be Coffey and Stimpian on the older set of tires here with Mason Hossman in the 78. He's been so fast on the short run, so aggressive. I think Hossman's going to be the man to beat here on this run.
Especially if that 78 can get some clean air, but the driver that's got to figure out a way to close in on that gap, it's Steven Borbell as well as Adam Buzzio, but they've got to figure out how to get by Steven Stimpian as Hossman is just trying to pull away the best that he can, and it's that of Alex Coffey as well as Alexander Light. They're trying to hold on as the 6 and the 78 almost make some contact.
Super close, almost there, almost making contact. Like you said, Sam, but they make it through clean and green so far. But everybody, it must be a full moon here tonight because it's light down into the 81, but he holds on, and here comes Borbell.
And Borbell going to be trying to squeeze his way through almost 3 wide. Adam Buzzio now going to be trying to get to the inside of that of the 6. They are just stacking up, squeezing, and Steven Borbell hoping to go back-to-back winner of Talladega last week, trying to win the first 2 races of the season, but it's the side drafting by the 81 that holds him back as Mason Hossman's trying to get by Alex Coffey.
Yeah, everybody going for every little thing now. Hossman knows this might be the battle for the win. He knows that Shaw has the oldest set of tires. He knows Coffey's got the less older tires in front of him. He knows he has to get this done quickly. It's 15 to go, but you can't get too overzealous and make a mistake that pushes you back where you can't get to him. But Coffee looking strong on the older set. He's closing in on Gregory Shaw, and I tell you, it's so impressive to see the rejuvenation of these tires. 31 laps on Gregory Shaw's tires, and he's running a 10th off his fastest lap.
And right now, I think that's the big thing for Gregory Shaw. He has been just trying to stay consistent. He's been trying to learn throughout the night, kind of like what we saw from Cody Reed earlier in this race, trying to just learn. But right now, it's Alex Coffey to the inside. But can he hold on? He's being squeezed by the 51. And here comes Adam Hosman to the inside. 3 wide for the lead. The 78, what a run through the exit of turn 2. They're going to stay 3 wide into turn 3. They continue to hold steady. That center squeezing, pressuring. And here comes the 78 contact. And it's going to be Borbell squeezing up right behind this group.
Oh, it's going to be close. Coffee almost down into the 78, but he clears that 7 machine. Now Hossman in the clean air with the freshest set of tires. Let's see if he can start to drive away. Can Borbell make this happen, though? Can he go back-to-back? He's going to have the best shot now as he has the run.
Stipien! Stipien somehow holds on. That thing couldn't wiggle any more than you wanted right there. It somehow holds steady, but it's that Mason Hosman somehow holding steady. Coffee makes the pass by Shaw. This is going to help out Borbell just slightly, but Adam Buzzio, 12 laps to go. Somehow with the aggressive driving by the 2, those tires could be too cooked. The 5 needs to start getting going now.
Could this be Adam Buzzio's chance for his first career win at the Wicked Racing League? Like you said, did they use him up too much in front of him, or will this take away his shot here as he's going to have a tough time trying to get by everybody? And don't count the 77 to Gavin Rogers out. He's already up to the 9th position, and we're going to be coming to 11 to go this time.
There's also a couple of other drivers making some heroic runs for themselves. A 33 of Jamie Pollard. I mean, what a charge for himself. He is almost cracked into the top 5 for that of the 33, who's been struggling at moments. But the up-front battle, Hosman is pulling away. It's a half a second now as the battling continues to rage on. But really, I mean, Zach, the field, they're starting to lose touch to our leader.
Yeah, they are. We've seen Hosman drive away before earlier in this race. Can he continue that trend? I mean, he's got some hungry wolves behind him, but he's going to have to try to focus forward. Don't look in the mirror. Don't look at the relative, and don't see how far that gap is. You need to make the best laps as possible. And another issue for him, he's still having a little bit of intermittent connection issues. I've seen it before where a person blinks out and they lose connection at the wrong time. You could go a lap down and lose that lap being completed. So he needs to really hope that that can stay together for him, because right now he's driving into the sunset.
I mean, at this point, Mason's got to be screaming at everyone in his house saying, just turn off your Wi-Fi, stop watching anything. I'm trying to go for a win, and it is possible at this moment. But again, you talked about Gavin Rogers. He has now moved up to 6th place. He's gotten by Nigel Christensen. He's gotten by Alex Coffey. But it's going to be that Jamie Pollard that's actually running very similar lap times as our leaders. Everyone in our top 5 are practically running equal distant lap times.
Jamie coming out of nowhere here. Just a great run for him. He's known to do this too. Last season, looking back at it, that 41 machine did this multiple times. Woo, Dakota Camper going for a big move on the apron there to the inside of Nigel Christensen in that 43. His Coffee is going to have to back out of that machine. But also another driver with a heroic move back up is the 31 Cedric Hunter. He sped on pit road, and you know he's kicking himself for that. But he's trying to drive himself up through the field.
And we all know, still looming, if needed, overtime. If a caution happens in those final 5 laps before we get the white flag, we would head to overtime, as we are now crossing 7 laps to go. And it's going to be Stephen Borbell, still 6/10 back. He has not gained at all on Mason Hosman, but the driver that's going backwards, Alex Coffey, those old tires, just can't do anything at this moment. He's a sitting duck, and he needs a caution badly.
He really needs a caution here very badly. Those tires are just too much to deal with, and along with him also Steven Stipien is dropping back. And the question is, do they even have a set of tires left? That's, I think, going to be the problem for them in a majority of the field right now. I think everybody's got what they've brung, but man, I think Borbell, he's got a chance at this in the 2 machine. He is closing slightly in here on Hosman. Last time by, he was 100 slower, but a couple laps before that he was quicker. So we'll see, can he close it in? And also Adam Buzzio up to 3rd for himself.
I'm trying to look at the numbers, though. Who could potentially start marching forward with us coming to 5 to go? Mason Hosman's looking solid for the 78 machine, who has had some question marks throughout the night. Thought he was going to be black flag because he's been having this intermittent blinking issue, but he has never been penalized to this point. He continues to keep pushing up front. Bell's been looking solid at times. He's been up front. Adam Buzzio, what a heroic charge for himself. But man, Jamie Pollard, gotta say, the 33 up 10 positions. What a charge for himself. And as well for Nigel Christensen, who is our biggest mover so far, up 20 spots from where he qualified.
Yeah, big move for Nigel Christensen. He's still going to have time here to try to get some more spots because Reed is dropping back into his clutches in the 25 step on that outside groove. But for Gavin Rogers, it has stalled out. The 77 machines only made it up to 5th, but that still would be a great recovery, I think, in his book if he can just bring it home in the top 5. So we'll see what happens here. But I will say, the 78s, his connection issues have not got better. They've pretty much gotten worse. And you never want to say it's not over yet because it is possible that he has more issues with that where it could take him out of the contention of this race.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
It's getting bad, and he's coming up to lap traffic. Tyler Dangler, this is the hard part, right? If you're a lap car, you don't even know where you're supposed to go because you don't know where the driver is. And sometimes when they start having these issues, they don't even know where they are in relation to other drivers. And just like that, a pass was made. Lap car, gonna be an easy pass. Luckily, no issue at that point. But now 2 laps to go for that of the Addison's birthday. Burt Rubber Bash 235. Zach, we get the white flag. We race it to the end.
That we do, Sam. And I tell you, Halsman has just had a fantastic night. Burned his tires up in that first stage. Was struggling. He's had such good short run pace. And I think the short run pace has come back here to help him so much here as he's going to look up to the flag stand.
Flag stand is there. White flag is out. It's your freaky fast white flag here at that Nashville Super Speedway, and it's the 78. He is held steady. The tires plateaued, and he had a big enough gap. Trying just to hold on for now as Mason Hausman.
That he is down the back straightaway. Borbell not within striking distance. Hausman just has to make a good 3 and 4, and we'll see if he can get to the checker flag. But Borbell thinks going to be excited also with the second.
It's 78. What a run for himself and get him to victory lane for season 2. It's Mason Hausman getting it done here at Nashville.
And locking himself in those playoffs. That's a great way to see that already for himself. And Borbell, after winning Talladega last week, comes back with a second place finish. And look at the guy in third, Adam Buzzio. I mean, he had such an up and down night, back and forth. And he's going to come home in the top 5. That just shows to the consistency he brings week in and week out. And also got a shout out to Jamie Ford there in that 33 machine 41 on the car. And just a great run for that group of drivers. Even a good run for Gavin Rogers to get back to where he did.
And incredible to see all the drivers marching their way. The congratulational passes to one another. This 78, though, what a charge. You'd think back to how this race started. He was so loose. He was drifting out of corners, and it just got stabler each race. Congratulations to the 78 machine. For us up the booth, we're not done for tonight. We're going to step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, it's the post-race shows, interviews with our drivers, and we'll get you ready for next week's race. Big thanks to Game to Give from that of Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. As tonight, it is the post-race show for the Wicked Racing League Season 2, race number 2 of the Addison Birthday Burnt Rubber Bash 235. And getting the win, you see him parked there, ready in victory lane. It's Mason Hausman that we're going to be bringing in. Mason, congratulations on the win. It's Sam and Zach up at the booth. How are you feeling after that one?
I am feeling amazing. Like I've never been like, I don't know, my heart's just beating really, really fast right now. I don't really know what to say here.
Well, man, I tell you what, definitely take a little time to bring it in for yourself because you're all the race winner here tonight. You're locked in those playoffs. You get that all out the way, but take us through the concern with the network issues there tonight. You're definitely having a little bit of problems there, but luckily it seemed like it kept it together at least for you to be able to bring it home tonight. That had to be nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah, we're kind of going through a little snow over here in Iowa, so that was a big concern tonight. There was a couple times where I was told where if I don't figure it out, I was gonna get the black flag, but luckily uh someone was looking after me and said, we're not gonna do that to them. So I was lucky enough to get my first ever oval win in this league, and also get a win for my new sponsors this week, Next Level Racing and Race Labs, and I'm really happy that I could show out for them in their first ever race with me.
Well, Mason, I mean, what a win here. Where you talked about it. You didn't get a win at an oval, but the next race we're heading to is a track that you have had success at. We're going to Watkins Glen. How does this feel knowing that the pressure is off? You've already gotten the win for this season heading to the Glen.
Well, I think with a lot of people here, the pressure is to get that win to get locked in the playoffs. So now I can just relax. I can enjoy Watkins Glen next week and not go and stressing, as it's Gavin's gonna be faster like he was last year. I'm gonna try to bring it to him again this year. Hopefully I can, and hopefully I can maybe pull out a win or a top two. That's the whole plan next week for sure.
Well, Mason, congratulations again on this win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
I want to thank Next Level Racing and Race Labs for joining the car this week and for the rest of the season. They're great sponsors to have, and anyone out there, go check them out. They're great people, and I want to thank you guys for broadcasting because you guys are the best broadcasters I've ever met. If there's ever in doubt, go to Freaky Fast and just watch them because you'll enjoy their time and all of their broadcasts.
Well, that will be the 78. Mason, congratulations. Enjoy this win, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we go from victory lane, we head to second place, where there was a lot of battling and dueling with one another, where we bring in the two machine finishing second. Stephen Borbell with us. Stephen and Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on second. I know you were hoping to go back to back, but man, first and second to start out this season. How are you feeling after your performance here tonight?
Oh, sorry guys, lost it real quick.
All
right, got you
good.
back.
I mean, Stephen, congratulations on second, finishing first last week, second here tonight. I mean, how are you feeling with the start of this season and your performance here this evening?
I feel great. I feel like we picked up where we left off last season. Last race of the year we got second, and come back 1-2. Couldn't be any happier, honestly, except unless I got to win there. But it was a good run.
Well, Steven, man, congrats on the run. Like you said, it was good to see you bring home second after finishing first last week. Man, I mean, take us through that there because it was wild here tonight. It looked like it was a handful. We had mistakes all over the place from people. How was it trying to keep this two machine straight all night?
Yeah, it was wild, especially in that second stint that we had when we were 3 wide. I think it was Mason, Alex, and I, and we're all flying all over the place, half sideways, and that's part of the concrete track. But it keeps things fun. It's a really fun track. It's tough to pass, but it's really exciting in the car at least.
Well, Steven, I know we're looking at your car right now. You got the Elvis scheme. You had the Ricky Bobby scheme last week. I know that you told people in Discord you were changing up the schemes throughout the year. What is going on with the different schemes? I know you're going to have a new one at each race.
Yeah, so I'm having a new one at each race based off family and friends request for each race. Today's was extra special for me. It's my girlfriend Addison's 26th birthday. So we sponsored the race for her. We also made an Elvis scheme, and unfortunately couldn't get in victory lane, but I hope second's good enough.
It was still a very nice looking car, and you had a nice run here this evening. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
I just want to shout out y'all for the hard work y'all put in. You put on a great show every week, and we really appreciate it. I want to shout out Adam for being a great teammate. Second and third, we couldn't ask for a better finish. But other than that, thank you guys again.
Well, that will be the two machinists, Stephen Borbell. Congratulations on second, and good luck next week at the Glen.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
As we go from second place, we got our spotlight driver that we're going to check out. And we talked about him late. What some great charges. Went from up and down. We got that of Jamie Pollard with us. Jamie, what a run for yourself here this evening. Man, how are you feeling with the way the night went and coming away with a fourth?
Oh, wow, man. That was it was an up and down kind of night, but really fun, really slippery out there. And we just had a handful, but it was a blast.
Yeah, it looked like a blast. It looked like a handful for sure, Jamie. I mean, take us through it because, early in the race, you were in the mid portion of the field, but later in the race, you got up into the mix. Take us through his last few laps because that had to be pretty high heart rate.
Oh, indeed, my friend. Actually, it was that last caution. I took tires. It was my last set, and I pretty much told myself I either got to go for it or just take what I was going to get. But, yeah, it ended up working out. Passed all the right cars, made all the right moves, and everybody raced clean. And, man, my heart's still beating. That was so much fun, though.
Well, it was a great performance, Jamie. You were our spotlight driver of the night. Great job driving through the field. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I want to shout you guys out for putting on such an excellent show. And I always love rewatching these broadcasts. They look great and everything. I'm going to shout out my teammate on AP Racing, Michael Minty. Did a very solid performance himself. Came back to 12th, I believe. So AP Racing, look for us in the future, man.
Well, that's going to be the 33 machine. Congratulations on a fourth place finish there, Jamie, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's your spotlight driver here this evening as we take a look at how the unofficial results went down. A lot of drivers shifting up and down. A lot of surprise penalties, some surprise wrecks, and drivers trying to scoot away with anything that they could get. And that of Mason Husman coming away with the win for that of the 78 machine. And his last win was at that of Watkins Glen all the way back in August 17th, 2022. Felt like a long time ago at the start of the season one. Must feel good to finally get back to victory lane. Second goes to that Stephen Borbell. Adam Buzzio, third place for the 5. What a charge for himself. Talk about how he is so consistent at those finishes, gets it done. Jamie Pollard going to get 4th. Gavin Rogers, recovery run for himself as well. Going to get 5th with Dakota Camper going to come away with 6th. Carl Pooler, 7th. Nigel Christensen takes our biggest mover of the night with 20 passes to get himself up to that of 8th. Then that of Cedric Hunter gets 9th. And Cody Reed finishing out our top 10.
Yeah, I tell you, Sam, as you look through the rest of the grid, it was, I think, guys who wished it could have been a better night. I mean, no bigger than personally the 16th and 17th. Steven Stippy and Alex Coffey, they look like two of the top contenders here tonight. Just didn't have the set of tires left after their incident racing each other for the lead. That sets them back outside that top 15. And just a tough night overall for a lot of these drivers back here. Christopher Norris, you fell back late, and it's just to tell the tape when you go out there and you put it all on the line, and sometimes the strategy and the way the caution flags fly just doesn't work out in your favor.
And also a huge thanks to those that are showing in 31st and 32nd position. Those are Race Control, that of Revan, and also Nicholas Renner. Thank you so much for all the work they did trying to make sure that the drivers kept themselves neat and tidy and penalties were served for tonight. Well, what an incredible race. We got to see some late race drama, some great passes. We got to see 3, 4, almost 5 wide at moments here, Zach. I mean, this is not a normal thing to see here at Nashville Super Speedway. This track certainly gave us some magic this evening with Mason getting the win. But before we take off and get out of here, what are some of your final thoughts?
Well, final thoughts are exactly what you said, kind of. You don't normally see the racing we saw here tonight, and I think that came down to these cars being a handful. When you have them a handful like that, you're very prone to mistakes. Mistakes wait around every single corner, and then that's where it opens up the door for passing. So we've seen a lot of that tonight, different strategies. Also, those open up the doors for passing, and it was a spectacular night here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Under the lights, I think it was a full moon because of how wild it was for sure. It just always seems to be that way when these night races come out. Drivers just seem to go for it just that little bit more. So wild racing here tonight, but I'm excited for Watkins Glen next week. Like I said, Hausman won last season there, and he was really good there. But I'm interested to see if Gavin Rogers can come back and get himself his first win of the season because he was very strong at Watkins Glen also. So I think we're going to have some good battles. Got some new rookies. We'll see how they perform on the road course, and it's the first kind of true test of going left and right. So it's always a pleasure to do road course racing in these stock cars, and I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us next Wednesday.
Well, 2 races and 2 different winners, and it is looking to be this Season 2 Wicked Racing League to be a good one. And we are proud to give you all the coverage here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Well, the week is not done. We still have more coverage to give you tomorrow night as the Stars and Stripes goes to racing for themselves. ARCA Car Racing at Michigan. That one is going to be an interesting race on how the super wide Banked Michigan course, how the drivers and the ARCA machines can survive. But I think the one that I'm most interested Saturday, if you have not watched endurance racing, well, this might be your best time to watch it. We are showcasing the Category 5 esports team. We are going to be watching their journey for the full 24 hours of the Saturday Daytona 24 hours. Zach, it's your team, but man, I'm just excited to be a viewer and also be a part of it.
I am so excited to first off get into the race because it's my favorite thing to do. If anybody out there is in iRacing and hasn't participated in an event like this where you do team racing for a longer portion of hours where you switch between your teammates and into the car, there's nothing better than it. You don't get to feel the team camaraderie like that without driving in the same car. You can have teammates on track, but when you're driving in that same car, everybody feels like they're just in that one ship together, and you got to make it last. And it's the beauty of it for sure. I'm nervous about it also because it's 24 hours. You got to be mistake free, and you also got to try to go out there and get the victory. But if anybody comes out there and tunes in for it, I hope you all enjoy it, and hopefully we'll give you all a good little show to watch because they're always interesting races in my opinion.
You never know when something could go wrong or it could all go right for the full 24 hours. Can't wait for that. Again, that is Saturday when we get to watch the Category 5 esports team tackle the 24 hours of Daytona. Then we get Sunday off and we're right back to 4 broadcasts in a row with ISRC Truck Series on Monday, Tuesday, the Full Send Racing Series, and we're right back here. Watkins Glen next week. Can't wait for it. For myself, Sam Dyer, for that of Zach Hall, Robert Moyer running productions in the background, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Stars and Stripes, Michigan. We'll see you at our next broadcast.